We are live. About 10 seconds in. Computer's a little bit slow. If you guys can hear me, what's going on? Got my big old blue Yeti microphone. But welcome. Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast. Dan Chichegosh here. Brad will be on here with Ryan. And I want to thank everyone from High Octane Coffee, J Concepts, JB Scale Graphics, 6B, once again, guys, thanks Joe Sylvester for all the awesome coffee and stuff like that we do giveaways and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Brad's right now adding all the Facebook pages and stuff like that. So it'd be pretty exciting here. Let's see if anyone's on the chat here right now. Let's go here. Also, J Concepts, officially licensed by Bigfoot, USA One, Samson. Get all those awesome decals, bodies left and right, tires, you name it, to build your RC monster truck. Go through J Concepts. Also, if you're in the dirt track racing, stuff like that, trophy truck, carpet, and anything RC related, they'll hook you up. Also, JB Scale Graphics. They're also officially licensed by Bigfoot. Bad Habit, Obsessed, Against the Grain, Overkill Evolution. It's some pretty cool stuff going on here. Go check out his stuff. He also has flags for any type of monster truck you want to put on. So, and also 6B Apparel. They did these Crush This hoodies. Brad will be on with the Crush This crew shirts. Go take a look at that stuff. It's $100 a pop for either one. Either or, message me or Brad. MTRC, Colby Marshall from the Monster Blog made this awesome video. That's our intro. But they do some old school sport mod. Sport mod RC racing is from like the early 90s to the early 2000s. Penna Straight Line, early Monster Jam, USA Motorsports, stuff like that. We recreate that and stuff like that. Hey, Dad, yours is coming soon. Andy ordered his too, so it takes some time to make this stuff. So, so it's pretty cool to have that stuff from 6B and also MTRC. Also, Justin Stories. Take a look at his stuff right now. He has the Making Tracks. He just had a ebook site that's gonna be on. We'll put that on the description and stuff like that for you guys to look and read and stuff. So that's also cool. Also, we have decals too, $5 pop. Some of the old new wave and also this logo too. So outside of that, I think next week's episode I have a recording of next week's episode with Matt Isbell, and we'll have his episode in too. So yeah, that's less than 5 minutes with all the information, which is pretty good. Just pow, going out straightforward. Want to let everyone know, if you're wondering about with Hall Brothers, we'll be in Austin, Texas next week. We're off this week from a long overdue run at Rosemont, and so we're taking a little bit of a break right there. But outside of that, and also Nick Davis from Back Channel Productions, shout out to him. He's been doing some shows for Ed Beckley, which just commented, some No Limit shows and stuff like that. So go check out his videos are on YouTube. We are going to play a little ad for him and stuff like that. So, and then Brad will be, during the show, will let us know who the last driver for the TNT Unfinished Business program that's going to be happening in May at Raleigh, North Carolina at the State Fairgrounds. So that news is going to be coming out. But a little birdie told me that it's going to be someone that you may not know. So he had a pretty cool stint, and so I can't wait to hear that. So be on the lookout for that. So outside of that, guys, thank you for everyone that has helped us out with giveaways and stuff like that. It's going to be pretty cool to have. But let's get some intros here, and have Brad and Ryan on. So let's get the show rolling. So here we go.
This isn't your typical motorsports podcast. You're listening to Crush This, a monster truck podcast presented by High Octane Coffee and J Concepts. A show where we take you inside the minds of your favorite drivers, past and present, of the monster truck industry. And now, your hosts, Brad Shaw and Dan Chichagash. Buckle in. The show starts now.
And welcome everybody to a brand new episode of Crush This, a Monster Truck podcast. Guys, the man that we have in between me and Cheech in the video here needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, the driver of the Son Uva Digger, powered by Hoonigan Monster Jam truck, Ryan Anderson. Ryan, how's it going tonight, buddy?
Doing awesome, man. Just hanging out. Glad to be hanging between you guys.
Right on. Man, it's great having you on, like I said before. And man, we're gonna normally we start off like a timeline chat and stuff like that, but let's talk about this year's Monster Jam season for you. It's been a stellar run. You've been going buck wild pretty much, and now you have Hooligan powering your truck, let's just say. How's been this season going for you right now?
It's been awesome. Honestly, I kind of normally have like a slow start to seasons. I don't know why. It just always kind of seems to go that way. But this season, I had the first weekend basically in Oakland was like okay. And then after that, it's been just crazy. So I think that has a lot to do with the people I'm on tour with. I really enjoy being on tour with Tyler because Tyler he's like the best in arenas. And to break him out of his element, put him in the stadium element, has been like a tough deal for him in a sense. He's too good at it in the arenas and being able to control the truck at all times that when you're in the stadium, you're along for the ride sometimes. And he's having a tough time going with that. So between me helping him is also helping myself, watching all the other drivers. Bari, I always love being with Bari. And seeing Charlie Pauken pop out of 2 years of hiatus and just freaking spank everybody basically has been awesome too, man. So it's been an awesome start to the season, no doubt about it. We just hit the halfway point. Like this past weekend was the halfway point. I got a pretty healthy lead, but that can go away with one show, basically. So definitely not taking it easy by no means. I've got a really good rhythm going with this track. The racing, I'm kind of hit and miss. There's a couple guys, Charlie being one, Camden being one, and even Bari. Bari's really stepping up his game in the past 2 years, really gotten fast and gotten crazy in freestyle too. He spanked our butts in freestyle this weekend. It was awesome. But those guys are fast in racing, and this is our paperclip style track. It's got a little berm and it's pretty fun. But also the tracks have been super hard packed, super wet, so it's been very slick, and it's been it's kind of a little bit of luck of the draw on your lane choice, what turn you got to hit first, and all those things. And also not getting ahead of yourself and trying to basically use your foot accordingly, not just flooring it and trying to go faster, because it doesn't work that way. And so that's been cool. But then freestyle gets pretty wild too. Freestyle has been really cool. With this one's got a lot of transitions, a lot of jumps from the berm to the center pod. And then the best part about that is doing the jumps that aren't supposed to be transitions. So that's been a lot of fun.
You know, you mentioned you're on tour with a couple of guys like Tyler, Barry, Charlie, but you also have, you know, guys like Camden Murphy, the Team Scream guys. You know, what's it like being on tour with a lot of the other guys? You know, you got Kohler, Preston Perez, you know, who I've gotten to hang out with a couple times at shows. How's it been on tour with all you guys right now?
So the obviously being on tour with Kohler is amazing. Always, he is just so hilarious. Like he'll go out there and do one jumping crash, and he's still in a way better mood than everybody else. And then when he goes out there and does awesome, and we're all so excited for him. Like he's one of the best. Like if he does good, it makes everybody happy, and he gets out and he's just psyched. I mean, he's like a 10-year-old. Corey's always a good time. I love messing with Corey. Me and him go way back into the mud truck days. So he's basically like a brother, more or less, you know, so we haggle each other all the time. He's been kicking butt, but he's also had some tough luck. Being around Craig Champion's been cool. He's mud truck guy from back in the day. So that's, you know, we got some connection there. And watching him go in one of Kohler's old chassis is funny. And Craig's just a funny dude. You wouldn't know it like first time you meet him and hanging around him. He's pretty like reserved and held back. But he's actually a hilarious dude. And he always gives Corey and Jim shit. Like it's the best. Preston Perez, he is really impressive. He's super quiet, super like standoffish, you know, but he really is super good. Like he's dialed himself in like noticeably every weekend more and more and more. And it's been really, really cool to see. Really cool to watch two-wheel and freestyle. His freestyle is really good. Honestly, his scores they never really match his run. And I feel like a big part of that is his driving also matches his personality. His throttle is very smooth, and it's only what it needs to be. He's not wide open throttle. He's not being loud and obnoxious like I normally am. But I think that kind of it also doesn't help his score. Basically, he makes it look too easy. And then you know Camden, obviously, he's crazy at the wheel. He's super fast in racing. He's one of those guys. He's like a robot in racing. He calculates every move, every second on the throttle, every second on the brake, and how much brake he applies and what distance he goes. So he's like really calculated with the racing. So he's super good at that. But he also, if you get him to get out of his element just a little bit, he's done. And he gets super mad about losing. Freestyle, he's also really good, but he's kind of, I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is, but sometimes he does not get scored as well as he should. Already talked about Barry. Being with Barry is a good time. The other ones that I haven't talked about yet is the Team Throttle Monster. So Mike Christensen and Paul. Paul is hilarious, man. I love being with Paul because he's a super good guy, super laid back, monster of a guy too. If you've never noticed, he's a huge dude. But man, me and Tyler just like constantly are trying to get him to crack up. And when you get him to laugh, his laugh is just so contagious. Get him going, and then you can get him going. You get Mike going, and Mike tries to be grumpy, but he's not grumpy. He actually does enjoy life. He has a good time. Him and his wife has been there most of the time, so we get his wife cutting up, and we've had a good time with him. And then, honestly, last weekend, Mike's been struggling with trying to get a backflip, and he's kind of like picking and choosing his days when he's going to try to do one. Well, he was setting up to do one last weekend, talking to me about the ramp. I was like, yeah, I think you should hit this side, approach it, you know, this speed, hit the throttle about here, let off here, like kind of try to walk him through the whole thing as best you can with a monster truck backflip. He nails it, dead on, perfect. I go to hit the same ramp, fail miserably. Huge corkscrew, land on the side, crash. So he instantly comes to me. He's like, well, if you want any advice on how to do a backflip, I can help you out. We all have a good time together.
Man, oh man. I just saw the picture in the background, the Copenhagen Crusher there, Ryan. Got my little skull bandit right there. And,
yeah, I got that same poster too. I got the whole kit, man. I got Bigfoot #1's over top of my sink. That's my kitchen sink. That's the only one I think my girlfriend hasn't noticed yet, and she hasn't moved. So like this one, that one's my favorite. She obviously moved that one right away. The old school bikini model there. That one got dissed right away. But I got a whole, like every retro poster I can get my hands on. I've got the one that was like the holy grail for me was the Carolina Crusher one, when the old body style. I think it was Carolina Crusher 1 when it was painted yellow. Maybe it was 2. I'm not too good with the numbers on the trucks, but it was in the off-road magazine with a bikini model on the tire. But it was the retro 70s body style one. So I've been hunting down like the original version of that, and Porter says, I've got one for you, buddy. So I just gotta make my trip out there to go get the poster. Honestly, if he only has one, I'm just gonna bring it to like, whatever Staples or something like that and get it copied. I can't take the original from him, but definitely that's gonna be like the holy grail one for sure.
I was about to say, I was like, man, I have a picture of, I think, your dad there in Gravedigger 7 in Pueblo,
Yep.
and I have all
Oh, yeah.
sorts, and I got Andy Brass over there with Bigfoot 3, and I got Barefoot 1 also up there. But the thing is like, you're also, it's pretty cool to know that you're also a monster truck historian. And you like the past. I mean, there was a few years back you went to the Hall of Fame in Indiana. I think it's the year that your dad got into it. But
Yep.
you love the old school side of everything like that. And one question I think a lot of people were just asking here, outside of a Gravedigger truck, if you went back in time, what truck would you love to drive?
Man, that's pretty tough because obviously, I mean, I'd have to say, as far as retro trucks go, like Carolina Crusher, Elite Spring Days, I don't know what it is. I think it's have to do with just because Gary Porter is such a like freaking legend, but that truck really gets me. Grandma, I mean, I guess you said outside of a Gravedigger. I mean, I'd love to get my hands on Bigfoot. I mean, any one of them. I don't care which one it is. Man, I don't know. I'd be honest with you though. Like if I really had to pick, like what era would you go to? Which era would you want the most? And like, obviously today's era is crazy and I love it and have a blast with it. But man, the Penda series stuff was so freaking awesome. Just how hardcore of like a real racing series it was with, there was no regulations on your sponsors and all that bull crap that we have to deal with now that, all kinds of factory sponsored trucks. And I mean, there's no doubt our trucks today, all monster trucks today wouldn't hold a wick to some of those trucks in the Penda days. I'd love to go back and drive those. I mean, I always say Gravedigger 7 was probably my favorite one that I wish I could go drive. But, again, that's back in the digger. But I mean, Barefoot was just, it was just nasty, dude. It was so nasty. I love that truck, the Rampage truck. I think it was Bigfoot Firestone did that one run where it just rode the freaking wheelie just right the whole like no man's land. God, that stuff just that tears my nerves up because I love that so much, man. And Carolina Crusher, the cantilever edition that he had, I think it was one of the last ones he did. That one was freaking awesome. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, dude. There's too many trucks. I want a little bit of all of them. Sorry, my dog's coming in here with his new tags. It's loud as crap.
No worries.
Oh my God, he's about to knock the camera over too. Get out of here.
That's one thing that I think that a lot of fans gravitate towards you because you love the history of the sport, and you mentioned the Penda series, and that's what I grew up watching. And you also mentioned Digger 7, and I can just only imagine how you would freestyle that truck because. Like that truck, Atlanta 2000, still to this day, one of my favorite Gravedigger freestyles of all time. And just, let's say you were able to drive Digger 7 in that format, in 2000. How would you approach a freestyle run in that truck compared to how you'd approach a freestyle run in your current truck today?
So you're talking about in the track conditions back then. I mean, obviously, there's no way that you're ever. It is written in like. Whatever the signed contract you have to drive any truck, if you drive Gravedigger 7, your freestyle starts out with a power wheelie. No doubt about it. Obviously. I mean, it is not no sissy one. I'm talking about touching the bumper on that sucker. So that would obviously be like I would have trouble not just doing that over and over and over because nothing's more kick-ass than a power wheelie. So I would have to start out with that. And then, back in that time, like, they were getting air, but, it was just kind of depend on what you were doing. So I would try my best to try to find something to get me the most pop. So, whether it be hitting the cars backwards or sideways or whatever, make sure my dog doesn't take the camera out again. So I'd want to try to get a little bit more air than most. And then with 7, one of the biggest struggles would be is getting it to fly flat. That thing was so short. The motor was up so high, so far back that it just wants to just fly nose high every time. So I would try my best to get it to fly flat. And then obviously, there wouldn't be a landing without a slack wheelie with that sucker, no doubt. I'd be all over that. And I think I would have probably more fun in that thing, in that style track even, the biggest thing, maybe there was a bus probably just more advanced act. But I think I would have more fun in that thing just ripping wheelies than even I do now with my truck. 'Cause my truck now, obviously, the stuff I'm doing with it is crazy and it's fun and it's insane. But during the moment, heat of the moment, I'm like, I'm like, I don't even know. Sometimes I honestly don't even remember my runs like immediately after, because I'll be like, I'm like turned into a robot. Like I black out and I'm just so focused on what's going on that I'll have to ask like, hey, what happened? What did the backflip do? I don't, it's hard for me to remember what happened. And once I see it on video, it'll start clicking back in my mind. But I guess I'm just so focused on it. Like I'm not cataloging anything that's going on. I'm just making sure that every second I'm focused on what's going on and doing whatever I can to keep the thing from flipping or, breaking or whatever. So I feel like that would be more of like a not even so much relaxed, but just like a damn good time, ripping wheelies all over the place.
So I'm going to mix this up here, Ryan, and we got some hard-hitting questions for you. Justin Stories wants to go to fast food after the show, and does it change where you are at in the United States?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really, you never know. I'd have to say I just did a 2-week stretch in Anaheim. We did 2 Anaheims back-to-back. I stayed out between the 2 Anaheims doing some stuff with Hoonigan. So when you're on the West Coast, man, it's hard not to go to In-N-Out Burger. It's not, I don't know what it is. It's like, to me, it's almost because just the brand is so cool. Like the In-N-Out logo is cool. The place is cool. The burgers are not bad. I'm not saying that, but they're not like, oh my God, so good. And a lot of times by necessity, fast food is what happens. Most definitely pizza. I mean, pizza gets thrown down on tour. We'll get a whole stack of pizzas. That happened this weekend, actually. After the show on Saturday, I had a broken wheel. Dragonoid's front end was about ripped out, I think. So I had a couple trucks that were pretty tore up. Here comes Friday. You're rolling around the corner with a stack of about 10 pizzas. Man, we were stoked. So pizza, and a lot of people hate me for this. I might get in trouble for even saying this, in public. But man, a good old Pizza Hut deep dish, that sucker is good, man. I don't care what anybody says. Tyler always gives me shit about it. It's good. I like it. I'll even get on some Taco Bell, man. I'm not scared of it. A lot of people are scared of it. I'm like a dumpster, man. I can handle that stuff.
See, I love me some Taco Bell. So, but what about in Canada though? Up in my neck of the woods, what's your go-to when you're up in Canada?
Man, it's been a while since I've even been to Canada. I mean, first thing that pops to mind is Tim Hortons, but
yes,
yeah, that's in the mornings. You got to hit that sucker in the mornings. I don't know, man, because every time the last few times I've even been to Canada was always Toronto, and we're like in the downtown city area. There was not really a whole lot of that. Like we had me and Cam McQueen. We hit Timmy Who's in the morning, and then basically Chipotle was right down the road, so we kept hitting that the whole time. So I don't even know of a good one up there, but I wouldn't be scared to try them all.
Next time you're in Canada, you got to hit up a place called Smoke's Poutineery. It is, dude. Poutine is just the best thing ever from
I agree.
Canada. So if you're heading to Canada this year, you got to try to hit up a Smokes because it is awesome, dude.
Yeah, I will do that. Yeah, Cam introduced me to the poutine. That stuff's insane. Like my fire suit would never fit again if I had access to that daily.
Man, oh man. We're getting also there's pretty cool about this year. There's basically frankly a lot of anniversaries outside the 40th anniversary of Gravedigger, the 30th anniversary of Monster Jam, but it's actually the 10th anniversary of your truck, Son Uva Digger. And because it debuted in 2012, I believe.
It was 11.
Oh, 11.
2011. Yes. So this year's my 11th. Yeah. But Jim Kohler's, what's Jim Kohler's anniversary this year? Isn't it one?
I believe Jim Kohler's has an anniversary. Yeah. 25th.
Yeah.
Vaughters is also around the same time period. Pizzo. The Hall brothers are celebrating 35 years. They're celebrating, I believe, the 20th anniversary of the Raminator truck. There's a lot of anniversaries going on this year, and I guess I miscalculated on my time. Can't do math, and but I mean, from the time period of you starting the truck, which I would love to have the backstory behind the truck in general, because it was a long time coming. I believe the truck would have came out much before 2011 than the time it was. But with the career that you had with that truck, and you still are, is there, how is the ride right now?
I mean, it's obviously right now it's going great. I'm like really doing good with the truck. The truck's holding up really well. Just did the official deal with Hoonigan. So basically, I've always been with Hoonigan. Hoonigan actually debuted, or they released in 2011 as well as me. So they did a video for their release before they even had a T-shirt for sale yet. They just had like a one-page website, and they made a YouTube video, and they basically chopped together a bunch of drifting videos, a bunch of like off-road trucks, and it had one monster truck in it, and it was me. And I was doing my backflip. It was my backflip from my debut run in Vegas. So I messaged them like, hey, I think and they, listed on their website their concept of the brand, and what they were kind of doing is basically going to be like a, clothing line for gearheads. I'm like, heck yeah, I love that. They sent me a big package of stuff, and we've basically been friends since then. And actually, one of my friends from HPI, RC company, when they've kind of been in and out a little bit, HPI, the company has. Well, the first time they kind of went out of business, he jumped over to a racing team, which then evolved into him turning, being hired by Hoonigan. When he got hired by Hoonigan, he got hired in to take care of sponsored people, take care of athletes. So he was already buddies with me, and then that happened. So it was like really turned up the heat on the whole deal. So then we started really trying to make moves on trying to make it official, and it took years, honestly. A lot of people in Monster Jam, like higher up Monster Jam, don't like the Hoonigan thing. They're just old school and freaking, they suck. Well, then some people got it. They understood that Monster Jam is really good at catering to the kids and the kids' parents. But there's a pretty good gap in there, from say like 16, or you could even say like 12 to 30 years old. There's a pretty good gap where we're not really, getting those people. And that's exactly Hoonigan's area. So that was kind of my whole pitch to them, was like, hey, let's, these guys got our exact hole that is in our fans age group that we could help, they could help us fill. And then they want the kids and the later adults. Hoonigan does. So it's kind of a perfect little trade there. But either way, this whole deal, the Hoonigan thing is going to open up the doors for me to do a lot more stuff with Hoonigan. So a lot more stuff off the track, off the Monster Jam track, which is, I think, is amazing, because that's all you see anymore. Is you always see the trucks from an upward angle looking down into a stadium full of dirt. It's like there's only so many times you can see that, and it's like, to the person that's not interested in monster trucks, it looks like the same thing every time. So getting the truck out of its element, putting it somewhere a lot of times where it shouldn't be, and doing stuff with it that's not normal. That's exactly what my whole goal is. Like I want to make everybody that doesn't realize how preposterous monster trucks are realize how freaking awesome these things are. But back to the story of Son Uva Digger. So my brother was originally going to have the first Son Uva Digger. And there's an old mud park by us that had a off-road racing course that went up a hill, down through a creek, and all kinds of cool stuff. And Adam was really wanting to do that, so he started building a truck to do that, which really didn't go very far. But it was going to be Son Uva Digger. It's going to be the first one called Son Uva Digger, and we were already talking about Son Uva Digger truck for Adam Monster Truck. And then when we started kind of picking with that thing, it was just slow going thing, wasn't really crazy. But we also started building a chassis that was going to be the first ever Son Uva Digger, and it was actually mocked after Gravedigger number 12. It was long wheelbase. We were building it in-house. It was actually our cousin Troy was our main fabricator on the truck, which he was the one that mainly built Gravedigger 12. I think Adam might have been 16 at the time when we were doing this. Maybe even less. He might even have been younger than that, actually. And that's where you see the video of, there's YouTube video put out by a guy. His channel is called Raj TV. And it's Adam pulling me in a Willys truck. Oh, there's a Willys sedan. So it looks just like my truck, but it's got windows in the side. And Adam's in a Chevrolet Dually pulling me. We're trying to get the thing to start up. We've got the motor unseized, and we're just playing with it. We got those trucks. We got two of them, actually. And we blanked off the windows. We just basically built a wood structure, put in there, bonded over them, slipped them off to make it a panel. And we popped the molds for Son Uva Digger as you see it today off of those trucks. We definitely stretched them, adjusted it to be more of a monster truck sized body. But that was the original one we popped the mold off of, and Adam was dragging me around the yard. We were just screwing off. So Adam was getting the chassis built. We were building a chassis for Adam. The molds were getting made and things like that. And basically it got to the point where I was like, okay, it's kind of getting serious now as Monster Jam, because Monster Jam obviously has the Gravedigger name all tied up. And they also have the likeness of everything Gravedigger you can think of tied up as well. So Son Uva Digger wasn't going to be able to run without them. They weren't able to do it without us, basically. But it all kind of just dead-ended right there. They weren't about it. They weren't interested. All that. It kind of just faded away. Ended up just all going to the wayside for quite some time. I had, at the time, I did have a Samurai that was my mud truck, my play truck. I drove around the property with. And kind of about the time, like about maybe a year or so after it kind of faded away, my dad, it was when actually it was Adam's 16th. He turned 16 December 5th. At Christmas time, my dad built him a big Suburban truck for his 16th birthday / Christmas gift. It was his daily driver. Well, when he did Adam that thing, he took my Samurai and painted green flames on the hood and put Son Uva Digger on the side of it. And I got a little set of super swampers on it. And I got a Weber carburetor, which is like a performance carburetor for the Samurai motors. And so that was it. I was hot shit, man. That thing was fast. It was loud. It had the sweet mud tires on it. So I did my first mud race with that thing at age 13. And I went to Bodacious, which was one of the first places my dad ever mud raced too. And ran my first ever competition race. Actually, the first one, when I pulled to the line, I actually was stuck at the starting line. My truck was so tiny. It only had like 31-inch tall tires, which, you needed like a 44-inch tall tire for that mud hole. So I got stuck at the starting line. I was bummed out. And back up, I get a second chance. And Dad told me, they pulled me way back. And he said, you don't go until I say go. And you hold it wide open and dump the clutch when I say go. And we didn't even wait for the guy to wave the green flag. I was like 100 foot back and I took off wide open. Go into the hole. I made it 113 foot out of like a 250 foot mud bog. I was pretty stoked. The thing was smoking like a champ. It just was an old smoky motor, but it was awesome. So that was the first time I ever competed with Son Uva Digger. I ran that little Samurai quite a bit. I didn't really compete much with it because it wasn't very competitive, basically. And I had a couple mud trucks after that. And then I built the Son Uva Digger mud truck that most everybody knows was a Willys truck. It was actually originally the street truck frame and axles. I swapped over to the Willys body, painted it like Son Uva Digger. And then it was a steel cab at first. I swapped it to fiberglass, swapped out axles, and I ended up 4-linking the suspension and putting a blower motor in it and just constantly evolved to be a crazy monster. And then I ran that thing for quite some time. And it was starting to become my time to drive. I was 16 when I built the Son Uva Digger mud truck. And I ran it until I was probably 20 or 21, something like that. But after I built it, 17, 18 years old, I was, it was starting to get serious, like time for me to start getting serious about monster trucks. And I was pitching that to Monster Jam, and they were shooting it down, but I was relentless with it. And a lot of people have trouble like picturing things, and where I don't. My dad and I and Adam, we were like, we can imagine the craziest things in our minds. So I had this picture of this truck, and me and Adam and Dad all kind of did, of the design, what we wanted to do. So we went through like probably 10 different variations. And actually I used our t-shirt artwork guy from Island Expertise t-shirts, which he's done t-shirts for my dad since like early, like probably 89 up until today. He still does. So that artwork guy there, he's done a lot of stuff for my dad over the years. And I wanted kind of, he's part of the history base because I wanted him to help me design it. We went back and forth for a couple of months, man. And it wasn't like we'd pick on it a day or two here, a day or two there. Like we were pretty hard and heavy on it for a couple of months. Designing everything. We had like 4 or 5 different designs, all kinds of different color schemes, like this whole collage to pick through. And eventually got down to what we have today. And I went to Monster Jam with that. And I was like, we flew all the way to Chicago, which was their office at the time, and presented this thing like, hey, this is what I want to do. And it took us a lot of convincing. They still weren't totally convinced. They were interested. It took us a lot of convincing. We didn't get an answer that day and all this and that. And we finally got them to agree to like let us do it with them. You know, we had to be done with them. They had to do it with us, kind of, you know, thing. So finally got them convinced to do it. We start building the truck. I'm doing my first year. You know, I'm driving Monster Mud and Spider-Man, bouncing around. So I'm doing my first year. We're getting everything in motion for this truck. We're starting to put it together. I test the truck in like early December. And that night after that, I'm riding my dirt bike and get in an accident, break my hand, mess my fingers up. I'm out. I'm done. And like I had to have pins and stuff. It was kind of a bad one. So basically, it was the perfect wrong amount of time to kill me for the whole season. So it basically I wasn't able to drive until World Finals. So that's why my truck debuted at World Finals instead of debuting at the beginning of the year, which you could say it kind of worked out for the better because that debut was insane and it definitely put me like up on the map quick. So that was, as much as it did suck, it was kind of a good thing. So it was a crazy story, crazy long, you know, like battle to get Monster Jam to be on board and all those things. But once we got him to do it, then it was, you know, obviously the rest is history.
You know, I remember hearing about news about your accident, and it's kind of weird because you were supposed to be in Edmonton that year with your truck, and you know, I'm only about 4.5 hours away, so you know, it was kind of just an interesting time. And let's talk a little bit more about the partnership with Hoonigan, because I'm a huge Hoonigan fan. I have so much Hoonigan apparel. You know, as much as I can get here in Alberta, Canada, they really don't ship up here a lot, or the stores, you know, and I've seen the rise of their company and all the stuff they do. And you know, I follow Corey Hosford and Hurt and Zach and everybody. How is it getting along with those guys? Because I feel like you and Zach get along amazingly because of how his personality is and your personality is, and your guys' love of square body Chevys.
Yeah, so I had to run and go grab a charger real quick. Yeah, so me and Zach are definitely like brothers from another mother. And you know, Hurt has a good time. I don't think Hurt understood monster trucks at first, and I think he was kind of like on the whole deal until I was at the Burnyard, and I definitely seen it that day. He was like, "Oh my God, this thing is insane." Which honestly, it all started out at the drag strip. So my first go around at the Burnyard last time, if you remember, I raced at the drag strip, and those guys were like, "Yeah, this thing's big and whatever." I was racing like actually a pretty decently fast car, but they were like, whatever, it's too big." Well, when I took off and it was like shook the ground and things actually like picking the front wheels up and bouncing and burning tires and peeling rubber off the drag strip. They were all like, when I turned around and come back, they were all jumping all over the place. And Zach wasn't actually there for that, which was a bummer, but Hurt was there and a couple other guys, and it was like, you could tell. They knew then, like, all right, monster trucks are freaking awesome. And, you know, like I said earlier, I've been chasing this deal for a long time, and they've invited me to do a bunch of video stuff with them. They handled the Gymkhana videos and a couple other really cool things, and they've invited me to do a lot of those things, and it's like just never – it's always a swing and a miss, swing and a miss, swing and a miss. It's Hoonigan wants it, just trying to get everything, all the other ducks in a row has never worked out. Well, the Burnyard video worked out, and then, like I said, I did the drag racing first, and I think it really lit everybody's eyes up, like, holy crap, this thing's serious. And then went into the Burnyard, which was actually in the parking lot of Irwindale Speedway at the time. Is before they're at their new location, which I just did. I did the display at this past week in Compton. The Irwindale Speedway, they rented a section of it in the parking lot because they get kicked out of their original place that is in Long Beach. In Long Beach, they were backed up to a school, neighborhood, and all kinds of stuff. So obviously the smoking tires and rev limiters and all those things really put a hurting on that place. So I go there to that place, which actually worked out good because I don't think the old Burnyard I could not have done anything in there.
No, watching the videos on how small that place is, and
Yeah.
I blame the Aussies that they brought in with the burnout cars for the reason why they got kicked out.
100%. That was the last thing that got filmed there. Yes. Yeah. So then I go to where they're at the parking lot. The parking lot's the area they have. It's not quite as big as like a normal arena floor, but it's not that far off. But there's nothing in there, you know. So it doesn't. There's no cars or jumps or anything take up any space. So I just turned the thing loose, just going wild. And I didn't really know if I could for sure, but I was like, I think I can do some stuff off of, like a Jersey barrier on the side. I knew I could jump, but I was thinking like, man, I think I can do a popper, like into a, moonwalk, nose wheelie deal. I think I can do the bicycle off of it, those things. So I was strictly shooting from the hip, and everything you've seen was like first take. Like I did take two tries at doing a bicycle, but it was like basically the concrete barrier thing, like the jumps I did off of it, the stoppies and a slap wheelie and the bicycle all was at the same time. Like I basically told him, like, look, I'm gonna freestyle for 2 minutes. You guys video it, and hopefully it goes right. So the only thing I didn't get the first try was the bicycle, and I was kind of scared because asphalt's weird with a monster truck. It's like it's got traction, but then as soon as it loses traction, it's like ice. It just goes all the way. So the first one didn't quite get the bite that I needed, slid right down, come back around, and I was like, all right, I got to really get underneath this sucker, and yanked up, and it popped up perfectly. It was awesome. So that whole Burnyard video was crazy. I mean, it was really fun to do that with the truck. And while I was doing that, the guys were just going insane. Like when I ended the run, they were like all blown away. So that really kind of honestly opened up the door with me and Hurt more too. Hurt's he's just there to have a good time. And he's one of those guys he wants to see craziness. He likes horsepower and all that stuff. So I'm not saying I didn't have his attention, but I damn sure got it after that. So that was cool. But then Zach, he's like you're saying, he's big into the square body stuff. He's kind of more, in my opinion, their truck guy. And so me and him, anytime we're ever together, it's kind of chaos. Like we're having a good time. We're cutting up. We're doing burnouts and stuff. We're tearing things up. Like actually this past week when I did a display there, I was like, the Camaro that they just built for Chevrolet has the new 632 cubic inch big block crate motor from Chevrolet. That's just insane. It's like 1,200 horsepower, something like that. It comes with a warranty. They shoved it in I think it's like a second gen or third gen Camaro. I can't remember which one you call that. 90s model Camaro. And it's just ridiculous. Like it was 80s model, I think.
Yeah.
But Jericho, like a 5-speed transmission. I don't even know it's nasty. But I was like, let me just park it in the garage. Let me pull it from out front and park it in the garage. Obviously, that's not exactly what happened. I dumped the clutch wide open. Like it was freaking awesome. That thing was awesome. Really, really freaking crazy. But yeah, it's just the Hoonigan thing is basically I'm just like the redneck stepchild of Hoonigan that does monster trucks. I'm into all the same stuff they are. Like I like horsepower. I like smoking tires. I like doing things in places that you shouldn't do them, like putting a monster truck into Burnyard. I am exactly what they are. My truck is just huge.
Before I ask my question here, Brad, you got some news here, bud.
I have news. What news do I have?
Well, you're gonna release the TNT.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
I almost forgot. So the next driver, the final driver for the TNT Unfinished Business event is Greg Holbrook and Equalizer. So that is awesome to see Greg Holbrook coming back to drive Equalizer at that event. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Brad's in awe of the Hoonigan and Ryan Anderson deal that he completely forgot what's going on.
Sorry, I'm a huge fan of Hoonigan, okay?
There we go again. But man, there's also a lot of drivers that have that title with Hoonigan, like Leah Pruitt, and other forms of motorsports too. Have you got a chance to meet other people that are in the motorsports? Or are you gonna get access to hang out with them also? Or how is the relationship also with the other drivers?
So I've hung out with Leah. I met Leah like way before she was in Top Fuel. She was still drag racing, but I met her back then, and I've met her since then through the Hoonigan stuff. Like Hoonigan does a big thing at SEMA, and basically all the athletes hang out. They got like a tent in the back. Everybody can kind of hang out, serving beer, whatever you want to, just chilling. So she's normally hiding out back there. Ken's back there normally too. Any of the other drift guys, rally guys. Larry the Enticer, I got him back there. Me and Larry, I met Larry at the Toronto show. I talked to him on Instagram, got him to come out. He watched his first real Monster Jam. It's been a couple years. I think it was my last year in Toronto. But he was in there hanging out with us. So basically, if you can't really become a part of Hoonigan without being, somebody cool, like not even somebody cool, just being cool, like being a good person that's into motorsport stuff. Like everybody at Hoonigan is like super humble. You would never, like, you walk up to any of those guys, they're normal people. They just got a sweet job. It's exactly how I feel too. I'm a normal dude. I just got a cool job. That's all. So everybody's kind of got that same vibe. Ken's the only one that was, I can't even say it was a little bit different, but he just gets freaking bombarded, like at all times. Like I literally, I've said it like hi, bye, and passing, like very little ever talk to him because I feel guilty to even like take up his time because he gets swamped. Like, he can't do anything, which I've always met him at SEMA. SEMA's probably the worst place for him, to be honest with you, because everybody knows who he is there. So, he's probably the only one that is not as accessible or, whatever you want to call it, not just hanging out as much because he can't. He's like, for him to hang out, he probably goes like into the Porta-John to hang out because nobody else can get in there with him.
One thing I wanted to bring up and kind of switching it a little bit here is you've done a little bit of the simulation monster truck racing. I know that you and me have done some stuff in the past. We actually the rear steer button boxes that we have been promoting, you actually got one, which I thank you for that. Talk about how you kind of got into the sim monster stuff because I still remember you coming after me in a freestyle event and absolutely destroying me back in the day. So talk about how that is also kind of in a way translated to you driving, because I know Monster Jam kind of has a simulator that they've posted video footage of with Tyler in it. Talk about kind of the simulation stuff a little bit.
So actually, this is my simulator right here. I built myself. The seat is out of my mud truck, so it's still got some mud on the back of it. And I just hand built the whole thing. I was trying. I got a little too fancy with it, honestly, but I was trying to make it to where my kid could drive. Because my kid, Adam's, my son race. Adam's two boys. They like it too. So I wanted to make it to where it would fit everybody. And it's got a real hot foot pedal. And I made like a mock of a Willwood brake pedal like we have in the monster truck and attached that to the pedal assembly that I had. But that whole assembly is on a big slider and all kinds of stuff to where it's pretty well can fit anybody from like 6 foot to 4 foot basically. So I got into Riggs Rods originally, and it was because of when Riggs Rods released their own version of a Gravedigger in. Well, I don't even know if it was actually Riggs Rods themselves, but one of the big mod guys did a Gravedigger and a Max D, I think it was. Yeah. And then he built this big crazy like custom course. It was like a stadium that was a mile by a mile big, and just jumps and cars and all kinds of stuff inside of it. And it was just awesome. So I've always wanted like a super realistic monster truck game since the beginning ever. So I got that, did that, was whatever it was at the time, wasn't very much. Had those 2 trucks, and then Sim Monsters came around, started doing all the mods, all the different trucks and tracks and stuff like that. I was doing that real hot and heavy, and actually took a big part in the Monster Jam simulator because I at the time, this is before Beam. I do Beam NG now as well, but at the time, Sim Monsters was it. They were the only ones, and it was great. And I have a couple of really good friends that do a lot of stuff, not even that's on the Sim Monsters, like private stuff that me and them would work on stuff. Cody was doing it with this a little bit too. And we would like try to modify the trucks like even more than what they already were. And I started kind of pitching it to Monster Jam because when they send people to Monster Jam University, they're just bean picking people. And it's like, a lot of times it's a hard pill for me to swallow because they'll just pick somebody because they got a good smile or they got a good social media following or something like that. Everything but they drive good, which is like literally number one. Like that should be number one. So these people are getting into a freaking $250,000 masterpiece of a monster truck, and don't even know how to start it. They've never done anything besides drive a regular car. So they got to learn how to start it. They got to learn how to move it around. Like, who knows if they're even good at driving a normal car, which a lot of them, I would have to bet they weren't after watching them drive. And, it's just crazy. Like, the trucks are not, our trucks are very durable, but at the same time, like, one super small mistake can cause thousands of dollars in damage. So, it was just crazy to me. Like, you guys are blowing money on, trying to train these non-driving people how to drive. Like, that's, eventually they'll get there, I guess. But at the same time, it's like, how much are you willing to spend to get there? So I kept pitching the simulator. I'm like, hey, like, this thing can, like, it can at least get them some type of direction. Like, give them something, like, teach them a little something. Like, this is the first time they ever jump something. They're jumping a ramp. Like, one of the first things they get you to do is backside a race lane. And I don't know how many people crash, roll over backwards, or like just jump to the moon and bang themselves up first thing. Like, if they can get on a simulator and get some type of ballpark. Right when they start, they have none. So that was my whole pitch to Monster Jam. It took me years, honestly, to get them convinced that was a good idea. And then they went about doing a big simulator. We did a full-on roll cage, 3 screens wrapped around, hooked it to the right pedals, to a Willwood brake pedal, to a hot foot gas pedal. We actually hooked it to a cheetah shifter. We hooked up the whole switch panel. So, like, when you get in that thing, you actually have to start it like a real truck. You have to shift it like the real truck. Gas and brake, obviously. Rear steer is on an actual toggle, just like the real truck. Like, it's pretty pimped out. And it's a lot of people, like, I kind of struggled with, some people that have been driving, getting like, oh, this is nothing like it. Well, it's like, oh, yeah, it is. Even just because you suck at the simulator game doesn't mean it's not, it's not something. So that was one struggle, was there's no actual replacement for the real thing. No. It just never will be. So this was at least one step to getting there. So now that, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure, because I try to not be involved in it as much as I can. I got my own thing going on, but I think the Monster Jam University, one of the first things they do is get in a simulator and just play around with it, just move the truck around, hit jumps, and kind of get a visual. That's one thing that's weird about the monster trucks. When you get in a monster truck, where you sit at, what you can see, and how it feels when you jump. Like, when you jump a race lane for the first time, it feels like you're a mile high, because you're already so high up, so it's a weird feeling that you won't be ready for, but this simulator does kind of help out. So the Monster Jam's whole simulator is like probably is the most intense monster truck simulator there is, no doubt about it. It's still running a special version of Rigs and Rods. I've kind of gotten into the Beam and G a little bit more, mainly, honestly, for the fact of it's the ease of use for my son. So my son Race loves to play, and we have like boys' night. So when Race is here hanging out, we're gonna have a sleepover. It's Brandon Vincent's 2 boys, it's Adam's 2 boys, it's Race, obviously, and whoever else wants to come over. It's just a madhouse here. And basically the whole upstairs of my house is, with the exception of my trophy case behind me, is Race's. It's all his stuff, his toys and stuff for all of him and his buddies to play with. But this thing gets torn up. Like, the simulator stays running all day long, and they just keep taking turns. But the Beam and G is super easy to change tracks and trucks. And Adam's son Wade, he's really into it, so he's good enough to go in there and modify the trucks. You can change tires on them, you can change exhaust and motors and tune and things like that. And one of the better things that they love the most is they want to each take turns freestyling, but they want to leave the truck crashed on the track and get another truck and then go freestyle around that. So the Beam and G has kind of been a hit here recently. I do have fun with it too. It's just, a little bit easier, and I like tuning on the trucks and things like that. And I actually did just download the I'm terrible, I shouldn't remember the name, but it's a Patreon account that you have to pay for, and it's not very much. But
you got the leafer?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's oh my gosh, so much fun.
The freaking I've done worn the shifter out for the USA 1. I've been whole shotting that sucker, dude, just nonstop.
and now with the rear steer handle, it's going to make it even better.
Oh, I can't wait, man. That thing's going to be awesome. What I need to make the simulator where a seat can slide over a little bit and get off center of the screen and just hook an arm out.
Right on. Yeah, and get yourself the face the little helmet like Jim Kramer always had with the neck roll and everything like that.
Yeah, dude. So I have a picture of myself when Monster Jam invited USA One to come to the pit party and do a deal at Minneapolis that one year. I have a picture in that truck, and everybody knows that Everett saved everything, and everything was just like it was. So I get up in USA One, and it's like, I mean, it's original. And I'm in there, and the helmet's sitting there. I'm like, hey, what's this helmet? He's like, that's the one. So the one that's on the model, I think it's on the model, the AMC model. I'm pretty sure you can see the dude, what's his name's hanging out the side with the helmet on. I wore that helmet and that neck brace, that exact one. Pretty definitely a check on the bucket list there.
Right on. And my questions also, one time I went to PRI and I saw Camden there doing some simulation stuff with road course racing and stuff like that. Do you have a chance to talk to him and pick his brain about ideas of different ideas that he takes from the simulation of the sims of road course racing and NASCAR, because NASCAR drivers use simulation tracks and stuff to do their laps. I mean, practicing is I guess now they can't take a car to a racetrack and practice real. They have to do their laps on a computer. But with Camden being there, did you get a chance to nitpick his brain about maybe ideas of throwing at to the Monster Jam simulator?
Yeah, a little bit. I've talked to him some. He actually works with a company that makes simulators, but NASCAR simulator stuff is like, it's crazy, man. It's way, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just nuts compared to this, this stuff, which this thing's more of I honestly say it's probably more of a game than it is anything, but it is realistic enough where I definitely have, I've learned moves on this. Like I give the bicycle a ton of credit from the simulator. Basically just on there, obviously it doesn't matter if you roll over. So let the truck go up on two wheels and be calm about it. Where in real life, you were always save it as fast as possible. Don't crash. Oh, wow. Well, this, gave me the confidence after playing with it so much to maybe let it go for a little bit, see what it does. Same thing for the, I haven't done it in a long time, and I didn't do it that long, but I did a butt kicker is what I called it. So I would crab walk into a jump and clip it with the back tires, just one back tire, and it would pop the rear end up, and I'd get it into a moonwalk that way. That was straight up from the simulator. Actually, Ethan and Ash, I don't know if they're watching this or not, but I play with them more than anybody. They were the ones that honestly came up with that, and they taught me to do it on I was on Riggs Rods, and from there I did it in the real world. A couple of like the bicycle to moonwalk thing was also like, that was one of those things I was doing it on the game. I'm like, that's pretty intense. Like, I don't know if that's really going to translate to the real world, but it does. Not all the time, but it does. But yeah, so talking to Camden on stuff, his simulator stuff is really super dialed in, like real hardcore. I know there would be a connection, there would be a ability to do something with it, but I don't know how. It would take a lot, because like the steering wheel setups they have are really crazy with a certain amount of feedback. They got everything so dialed in for NASCAR. There's so many, they measure everything in NASCAR. So when I was there for when Kevin Harvick ran the Gravedigger NASCAR, we got to tour their shop and hang out with them quite a bit. And the simulator stuff there is insane. Like they have like, I want to say it was an actual scan of the track. So every hump and bump and every little nook and cranny of the track was actually in the simulator as well. So when they were like testing it, it was legit. So they're making changes on it. I actually watched this happen as we were sitting there looking at the car, and it was in its pit area. Kevin was running the simulator, and the engineers would make a change to the car in the simulator. They'd make however many changes. They keep trying this, try that, do a lap here, do a lap there. And then they would send word down to the crew to actually change that stuff on the car. So their simulator stuff is like way in the future compared to what we got going on here. But no doubt, I hope to see ours get there someday. But at the same time, right now, they're way out of our league compared to what I've got. And even the Monster Jam one, it's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's still, it's far from what NASCAR is playing with, and that's what Camden is doing. He's doing the NASCAR stuff. So I know we could do something, but for one, you got to be willing to throw up the money because they're like a $20,000 system, $30,000 systems and stuff like that. And then, be willing to throw up that amount of money and then have to do all the legwork to link all that together and hope that it's worthy, where I don't have a problem with what mine has feedback, it has all the other stuff. So it's not bad. I'm sure those would be better, but I don't know how much, is it $30,000 better? I don't know yet.
So we've had a question come up a couple times by a couple people that are involved with, the mini monster trucks. Is there a chance that we will see your son or even Adam's sons in a mini monster truck at some point to keep, the Anderson name still alive in monster trucks?
Oh, I definitely plan on it for sure. The honestly, the biggest thing for us is we're so tied in with Monster Jam that we're pretty regulated on what we can do as far as me and Adam, and we're definitely not going to let them do it without us. So we're not going to bring them to another show and not going to be able to be there and all that crap. That's all this paperwork mumbo jumbo, but without a doubt, they're already in stuff, and they're going to be in stuff for forever, I'm sure. So they all have basically razors right now. We have the 1-seaters. So we have 2 of the Polaris Aces. We have one that's a 570, one that's a 900 that's been converted to a 1000, and then the RS1, which is the newest 1-seater. So they're really made for adults, but we let the kids play with them, and they have their own J-hook racing course. We stage them up. I have to stage them. We have to do the full on thumbs up, and
That's
then
awesome.
we have a green light. Send them, and they want to do brackets. They want to race. Of course, they want to race me and Adam, and then they want to race each other, and it gets heated. It gets crazy. And then we do freestyles. We do a freestyle competition and score each other and all that stuff. So they're already doing it. They're just doing it in our yards right now. Right now, thankfully, Adam's yard is the victim at the moment. But between the shop, my mom's property, dad's property, they come and tear up my front yard. Like I said, luckily Adam got a new place that has a nice little spot to terrorize. And every day they're here, they're hanging out. If they're not at school, that's what's happening. They're basically throwing down Monster Jam, racing in the side-by-sides. So they're already doing it pretty much, but the mini monster thing, I definitely want to do it. I honestly think what's probably going to be more likely to happen is they're going to get into the mega truck world, just because our mega truck track, we have our track right here. Dad runs it. We can still be involved with it, all those things. So that'll probably be more likely what's going to go down. If we can make some, honestly, I'd love to see Rick Disharoon, Ryan Disharoon's mini monsters with a set of little mini tractor tires. So basically a miniature mega truck. But then it's just depends on what else goes down, what all goes down, because to do a scale mega truck tire on that, it's going to be kind of small. I mean, you're talking like a 35 or 38, something like that. And most of our mud trucks have 60-inch tall tires. So it would kind of make it impossible for them to make it through the mud holes. And then also you go back to the side-by-side world is so insane right now with the horsepower you can get out of it. And it's a, turnkey setup. They come with tractor tires on them and things like that. So it's kind of, we're going to see, I'm sure once they get a little bit older, they're going to be in something outrageous. There's no doubt. They already have been. Race has his trophy cart. That's his little miniature monster truck called Born Wild. He's rolled it over twice. Wade's already rolled his RS1. Luke he's like the king of air of the young ones so far with his ace. He's the one that airs it out the biggest. And, so it's just a matter of time. Basically, whenever these ones start breaking that we have now, I don't know what's going to be next, but I'm sure it's going to be outrageous.
Man, oh man, that's be crazy to see here in the future. One shout out. Hey, Josh Rhodes, what's going on? The Gravedigger historian also. But I want to know about the story about how the heck pretty soon your episodes on the YouTube channel, I think it's the Andersons.
Yep.
you have Bari, Tyler running these LMT Horizon Low C LMT monster trucks. Now we're growing leaps and bounds to now seeing like Kayla Blood having her own vehicle, hearing stories about how she already destroyed hers already. Corey with Megalodon, Avenger. How did that snowball went from small to huge, and now you guys have outside of Stadium Tour Red have a mini Stadium Tour Red with the LMTs. How did that action came about?
I'd have to say it's Bari's fault. Obviously, I've been playing with RCs. Bari definitely has been playing with RCs way more than any of us, but I've always played with RCs, and the LMTs came out, and it just started a whole new revolution for me. So the SMT 10s are awesome. I still love the Axial. It's awesome to play with and things like that. But when you have a 7-year-old like I do that wants to just destroy, the LMT was a godsend. I mean, that thing is so tough, especially if you throw just a 2-cell battery in there. It's still quick, and it's basically indestructible. So that thing was awesome. I love mine. Me and Race both have a Son Uva Digger each. Adam's boys have diggers, and we can't get enough of those things. So I was going to bring mine on the road this year because it was, first full year of Son Uva Digger being back with the LMT also being around. So I'm like, all right, I need to get the two together for the first time, which happened in San Diego, and also just, to play with on the road. And I already talked to Bari about it. I'm like, hey, you going to bring a RC car? He said, yep. Okay, me too. So then when we got some, then Tyler wanted one, and Camden wanted one, and then we who else was next? Charlie got one, and Colt Stevens got one. Kayla got one. Jim Kohler, Corey got one. Craig Champion got one. And I'm trying to remember who else got. Even some of the crew guys are collecting them. Chris Dixon's got one. I'm trying to think. A couple other guys got some stuff too, but it's basically, it has turned into it's a major snowball effect of RCs. And we were pretty good about it though. We basically say, all right, one day a week per weekend, we're going to do the RCs. I'm not sure if you've seen the videos that we went to Mini Jam. There's a guy right outside of Houston, Texas, or basically in Houston, Texas, built a super scale monster truck track for the LMTs basically in his backyard. And he invited us to come there through Bari, and we all went. It was me, Camden, Tyler, Charlie Paukin, Colt, and Bari. We all went, and we showed up right after the show, brought all of our RCs, showed up there, and this kid's like, he's a super fan. I figured he was a fan, but this kid's like a super, super fan. He's been like, I can't remember how many World Finals it was. It was like, it was in some insane amount of World Finals. Huge Monster Jam fan. So I didn't realize how big of a deal this was going to be to him. I already kind of knew like, it's probably going to be pretty stoked to have all the drivers coming there. But then when we got there and realized how big of a fan he was, it was like awesome deal. But his track was so much fun. So much fun that actually the next weekend we went back to Houston again for 2 shows in one weekend. We went back to Mini Jam again. This time Colt wasn't with us and Charlie didn't make it either, but still we had an absolute blast. And then this past 2 weeks in Anaheim, Losi is based out of right outside of Anaheim, California. So that worked out sweet. We're picking up parts. We're getting all their trucks for all the other people. So that's when Kayla, all of Team Scream basically got theirs. A couple other people got them. And then Ultimate Hobbies, Cliff from out there, he's actually right in Anaheim, owns a hobby shop that's done stuff with Monster Jam for many years. He's always taken care of the Monster Jam crew guys and drivers. We're at his place buying all kinds of stuff. I bought another mini axial crawler. Like I needed another one because I got like 4 of them here at home, but obviously I didn't have one there that day. So I had to get another one. But yeah, and we were going into the dirt yard at Anaheim where they store all the dirt between, when we're not doing Monster Jam or Supercross. And we built an entire track out there. And we had the Big America guy shows up. He's from California. Does all the Instagram videos and stuff with the Losies. He shows up. This other kid, I'm terrible. I should know his name. He's been there. He went there twice with us. Big America went twice. this other guy, friends with Barry, that puts on a bunch of monster truck RC races out west, was out there, and he brought out his ramps the one day. But yeah, we were hitting it hard, and we are tearing some stuff up. There's no doubt. So if you've played with the LMTs, they're just insane. They're super fast and insanely durable, and they handle crazy well for a solid axle truck. Like a solid axle RC truck is normally known to be ill handling. They bounce off of stuff. They don't soak up things very well. Like an independent suspension monster truck, like the Traxxas X Max or any of the other ones, they have a fully independent suspension that works really well, but it's not scale. It doesn't look cool like that the LMT does to us. But one weak point of the LMT is that solid axle. So you get beaten and banging around, and you're driving it so fast, and you kind of forget that this is more of a scale truck than a basher. And we're skying these things off of jumps, 10, 15 foot in the air. And if you land flat, it'll take it basically every time. My truck is the original one that we shot the commercial with. It was one of the, we got 2 Son Uva Diggers and 2 Gravediggers as samples before the full production run. And mine is still the one that was shot with that commercial, one of the originals. And I had the original housings in it. I take that back. Race broke one of my housings. He broke the 4-link tab on the bottom, likes to tear out of these things when you run into things. Race wide open, runs into everything. So I did have a new front housing in it, but the rear housing was the original one. I ran it jumping like dump truck loads of dirt at Monster Jam at Houston. They dump truck load of sand, and I scooped it out with a skid steer, made it just massive launch ramp. We're landing straight to concrete, flattening. Like I said, as long as you land on tires, you're totally fine. But we've been tearing up the house. A lot of the not so experienced RC people have been tearing up housings. Tyler, Camden, which Tyler's gotten a little bit better at it. Camden has too, actually. But Kayla, she's really new to RCs, so she's been tearing up some housings. Corey's not new to RCs, but Corey's just really rough on everything. So he's got a housing. Craig Champion got a housing. But Tyler, Camden, and Kayla, they're like multiple housings. And one of the best things was Camden has basically become probably the best crew chief of LMTs there ever is. He constantly is swapping out housings, and we got Horizon hooked us up with some roller chassis trucks. So it's basically the LMT with no electronics. Like, hey, here's some spare parts. Like, oh sweet, we unbolt the 4-link bars and the shocks. We got a whole axle we can just swap right away. Nose went away like nothing. So Camden's been swapping out the internals to new housings and getting ready to go housing, so we can just unbolt 4-link bolts and shock bolts and replace the housing quick, so it doesn't kill your whole playtime. So Kayla broke a housing. Camden's over there just tearing away, puts new housing in it. I swear to God, she went like 15 foot wide open, and like wearing it's like concrete with like dusty dirt over top. So it's really slick. And we're all running 3-cell batteries, so they're stupid fast. She takes off wide open, and it just twists just right, catches, and goes right into the side of a big wooden box ramp. Breaks the housing right away. Like literally went like 15 foot. Poor Camden. He was so proud of himself. Like he swapped the housing out in like 10 minutes, if that. Bam, gone again. So yeah, we've been rough on him, but it has been an absolute blast, man. It's when we all roll out, we roll out at the same time. It's like the Hell's Angels, man. It's RC cars just everywhere, flying all over the place, and everybody's like, "Oh God, here they go!" Everybody runs away, but it's a good time though, man. The Losi has definitely brought much joy to all of us on the road. We've been having a blast doing it.
So I have to bring it up. Your brother Weston and what he did this past weekend. What in the actual hell? I don't know how to explain it, what he did. Like talk about just how he has progressed from driving bog hog to now taking the reins of another digger truck, and what he's been doing this year.
Yeah, so that move was insane. I was hanging out with Zach and my other buddy from Hoonigan and Andrew, and we were hanging out after the show, taking some pictures with the truck. Truck was all tore up, and I walk over to go to the rental car, and Barry and Tyler are at the rental car waiting. And as soon as I go around the corner of I think it was Zombie was in the way. As soon as I go around the corner, I'm still like 30 foot away from them. As soon as they spot me, like, dude, did you see what Weston did? Like, they were freaking out. So I run over there and go look, and I'm watching the video like, oh my God. But I mean, I've been trying to tell everybody, like, me, if you look at the progression of like me, Adam, and everybody, so Adam didn't really mud race very much. He didn't really compete in a lot, but we always played with things. We always had, you know, hoopty vehicles and four-wheelers and played with mud trucks and stuff like that. But Adam didn't compete as hardcore as I did. I competed pretty hardcore in mud racing, but like my mud truck when I was like say like age 11, because it's when Teeny started. My mud truck at age 11 was a stock Suzuki Samurai with 31-inch tall super swampers on it, which are like a street tire, a Weber carburetor, probably clocking in about 85 horsepower, manual transmission, like literally it's a puddle jumper. Yeah. When Weston started mud racing, he inherited my mega truck, which I took the blower motor out of, but it was a fully 4-link suspension, 20 inches of suspension travel, fully caged, fiberglass body with a 565 cubic inch natural aspirated motor that was making about 950 horsepower at age 11. So if I had 85 horsepower at age 11, he had 950 and progressed from there. I mean, then, you know, I think it was around like 15 or 16 is when Dad built the Bog Hog that you see now, which is like the pro mega truck. So this thing's like, honestly, probably more badass than most monster trucks. Yeah. Definitely more horsepower. So this is it's a 540 cubic inch blower motor, just like the monster trucks. My dad loves that combo. He's the reason why that is the standard combo for monster trucks today, because Dad just was obsessed with that. It always seemed to last the best for him. So 540s, but we have no restrictions on our blowers or how much we overdrive them or any of those things. So we're overdriving the blowers a lot more. We're making like literal like 1700 horsepower, and the trucks only weigh like 5,000 to 6,000 pounds. Jeez. So half the weight, more horsepower. The tires are freaking pizza cutters. So at age 16, he was driving that. At age 16, I did have a 950 horse motor, but I was still leaf springs. I was still a steel cab. Like it was still heavy. You know, it was not, you know, nothing like that. You know, this thing was legit. Like I've drove King Sling, so I can say I've drove a truck that nasty, but most mega truck guys in their lifetime will never drive a truck that's as nasty as Bog Hog. The thing is just crazy. So he was way far advanced, more than all of us. I used to make Teeny do stunts in a go-kart at like, I was like 5 years old or something like that. We had him at the mud park doing stunts in front of the people. We built like styrofoam. One time this guy built a really awesome styrofoam recreation of the haunted house that was on the side of Gravedigger. Like, and it's like all painted up black with the green roof, and like it looked legit. Like it seriously looked like if you were to make a 3D model of that painting on the side of Gravedigger of the haunted house, you would see, yeah, that's what you would see. Well, Teeny jumps his little go-kart, jumps and lands in it. It's full of balloons, explodes everywhere. And I even taught him how to do a walking wheelie in that thing at, you know, whatever he was, 4, 5, 6 years old. It's on my YouTube channel. Like I posted it that day. So years, you know, 10 plus years ago, stands the thing up on a wheelie and walks it down. He's got his buddies riding with him, you know, little kids riding with him. So he's been an animal for a long time, and he's just getting into his right skin now. So I can't say that I'm not impressed, because I'm super impressed. Like that move was crazy. Nobody can say that he did that exact thing on purpose. Like he did not hit that jump to go do this on the nose to get that one wheel down, to put it in reverse and do that flare, flip, whatever you want to call it. But what you can say is exactly the only thing that I try to take credit for, is that he can take advantage of a perfect situation like that. Yeah. And that is, like, in my opinion, that's one of the best traits you can have as a monster truck driver, is to be able to take advantage of a scenario as it hits you. Like, that's what I love to do. Like, I like to hit the jump or whatever I'm doing wrong. I want to hit it crazy. I want to hit it fast, wrong angle, too fast, too whatever, and do the truck wrong, and then do everything in my power to keep it right. And that's exactly, like, you know, pretty much what he did. He was just throwing it to the wind, and when the opportunity arose, he was there to take it. So, you know, he's not going to say that he did it on purpose, but at the same time, he knew where he was at. He knew what was going on, and he took advantage of that scenario. So as much as I am impressed, all I gotta say is I told y'all, I told you so. He's gonna freaking ruin our lives. Like anybody that thinks you're good now, you're screwed. He's gonna be nasty.
Right. It's crazy though. So we watched that video and it was just awesome, and he's been having a pretty good season right now in the East Tour. And like I said, with you know, me and on my tour, we have Zach Gardner and also Little John Zimmer Jr. Not little anymore, but we
Yeah.
race with our LMTs there too. But anyway, it's pretty cool seeing them there at some shows with Cody and stuff like that. And I can't wait to see the future holds for him. But we are pushing, like I said, we talked about earlier about the anniversaries, the 30th anniversary of Monster Jam and the 40th anniversary of Gravedigger. Is there some so it's one question but two different answers, I guess. Anything memorable and highlights of those years that always stuck to your head?
Of the 40 years of Gravedigger, I mean, it's when I think back about Gravedigger, all I can ever think of is my dad. Like him just doing the crazy things. It's like a highlight reel. I can't even say like, okay, here, and this is what he did. And it's just a highlight reel of my dad running, breaking wheels off, crashing, upside down, on fire, just his insanity, in cabs of him flopping back and forth because he refused to update us, put a nice seat in there with head restraints and shoulder restraints and all those things. So it's hard for me to like pinpoint one thing. It's just him, really, in my eyes, and it's unfortunate that we don't get to see him as much, involved with the Monster Jam side of it. But it is what it is. But it's definitely, to me, it's trying to keep the ball rolling, or I don't even know what you would say, because there's no way we can fill his footsteps. I know I'll never be able to. Like I can do the craziest technical stunts in the world, but it's still never going to match Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger. I don't ever plan on it. So all I can do is try my best to continue on his legacy. Me, my brother, sister, both my brothers, my sister, Tyler and Brandon, and try to be as crazy as we can. Always try to be wild. Try to be the person that no matter win, lose, or draw, that the people, everybody that's paid their money, hard-earned money to come in and watch us, they're leaving saying, man, that Gravedigger truck was insane. That Gravedigger truck was wild. He did this, did that. So that's kind of my whole thought on the whole year of 40th anniversary is we need to be the memorable ones. We need to be the ones that's throwing down whatever trick, crash, stunt, whatever it is that everybody is walking from the stadium saying like, damn, that dude was crazy. He did this, or they're posting it online. It's, just the most insane thing they've ever seen. Like that's what I want.
So my last question for you is, how bad do you miss having zoomies?
Oh, God, just pierces me right in the heart.
Oh.
And my watch just said breathe. I swear to God. I swear. Literally, it did. Look, even a minute of breathing can help you.
Oh my gosh. Perfect
timing. Good job, Brad.
I'm not kidding. That's how serious it is. Like, man, I mean, my dad had zoomies since freaking 80, since the 80s. Like, we still have one of his original set of zoomies. It's made out of like exhaust tubing pieced together. Like, they're not nice, but they're zoomies. But yeah, no, I definitely hate it. Like, I understand a part of it, like when we're like on arenas and stuff like that, it's loud, but it's still loud, but I know the zoomies were louder. So I get it. Like, okay, if we just took them away in arenas, okay. But man, it still kills me. We're in these big, massive football stadiums, no roof, and it's not even that, like, I love the sound of the zoomie. There's nothing better than it. I love, obviously anything that's not Monster Jam affiliated, Kingsling, Bog Hog, the Kingsling Extreme Ride Truck, all of them got zoomies, everything. Even Adam's ride trucks have zoomies. They're not straight pipes, but because the motors just wouldn't take it. But they're zoomies. That's what we love. Yeah, so it's a struggle to me. I want them back. There's no doubt about it. I know Monster Jam, that's way in the dust for them. That's the last thing they're thinking about is actually making monster trucks loud again. But to me, like one thing that I've tried to pitch it to them, and they weren't against it, but it's also like to them it's such a small little crumble off the cookie that they're going after. So I've even said, like, let us just do different exhausts. Like I don't mind the sound. Like obviously it still sounds good, but it just kind of sucks that everybody sounds the same. Like thankfully Corey Brummel and Jim Kohler and those guys, they run something a little bit different, but Tom's is a little bit different, but not very much, but it's basically every monster truck sounds the same. And I just want them all to be different. I want there to be differences in everybody. I want them to sound different because some people like the muffler sound over the zoomies. I mean, I'm not mad about it. I think there is some things about the muffler sound that I do like, but there's also a lot of things I like about the zoomies. So I don't know. It's one of those things, man. It sucks. Believe me, damn sure weren't my choice. Me, Dad, and Adam, we fought over zoomies for a long time. Like they got taken off of our trucks and we put them back on our trucks without asking multiple times. So it was got a little childish there for a minute, but unfortunately the big suits win pretty much every time, which is they've taken the life out of a lot of things in Monster Jam, but it's still going. So we'll keep tearing things up.
Right on. And for my last question, man, it's like I said before, I'm a historian, you're a historian. But let's go. Last thing we're going to talk about, it's not even monster truck related. It's about street trucks. You have your Blazer and stuff like that. The old school square body trucks, man. You love them. Like we talked about them a little bit with Brad, mentioning them with the guys from Hoonigan. Man, the passion that you guys still do the beach cruises over there, hang out Sonics. I mean, tell me about the passion you have with these square body trucks.
Yeah, man. So I have an 87 K5. It's lifted up way too high on leaf springs. So she's old school, 2.5 ton axles, which is just ridiculous for the street. For one, they're loud as crap. The gear, it's got a dual ring and pinion setup. Basically, it's like a bull gear over top of a ring gear. And there's a ton of lash. So it's super loud. I run a pinion brake, which don't tell any of your cop buddies because it's not actually legal, but it works really well. Very powerful brake setup. But it does warp the rotors very fast. When it warps the rotors on the pinion brake in a street truck with leaf springs, it will literally shake the dash out of the truck. Like it's crazy. 44-inch boggers with 20-inch wide rear wheels, which rear wheels are the old schools. Like when you see old school aluminum wheels on like the monster trucks from back in the day, pulling trucks, more than likely they're rear wheels. So like rear wheels that's our stuff. Like Adam's got real wheels. My other buddy Andrew's got real wheels. I got real wheels. Like if you got real wheels, like that's like like a stamp of passage there. But yeah, we still do Sonic cruises. We just convoy. When we hit the old school trucks. Adam's got he's got an older one. His is a 78, I think. 4-door long bed. His is the most pimp of all of ours, though. It's a 4-door long bed built by Rick Disharoon, Ryan Disharoon, 4-linked out, coil springs, 44 boggers like mine, 1-ton axle, so it's way more streetable, but it's got a Cummins motor backed up with a Turbo 400, which is really cool. So his is definitely the cruiser, the smooth rider, the best looking one, biggest. I mean, the sucker's a limo. It's 4-door long bed.
Is Cole and Morgan still with you?
Yeah, Cole still got his. He doesn't go very much. Cole's got 2 kids now. He's got a little girl and a little boy in there. His little boy is wild. His little girl's pretty wild. His little boy is wild. So he's trying to drive a freaking manual square body with a regular cab with 2 kids and his wife. Doesn't work very well. But he still goes with us occasionally. Brandon Vincent still goes. He's got like probably the most reliable truck of all of us. His is a stock motored Suburban. Like I think it's like an 80. Maybe like an 89. They made the Suburbans a little bit longer in the square body style than they did the pickup trucks. But it's just the original motor. I think it's a 350, maybe a 305. I think it's 350, but it's old and wore out, but it runs always. 40-inch super swampers. Like it's still lifted up good. Another one of our buddies, he's his dad actually used to mud race with my dad back in the day, like in the original days of Creeds and Moles Run and Bodacious with the red primer truck. His dad had a truck called Bustin' Loose. And they mud raced with us, and even his son mud raced with me and Adam, and he actually worked in their engine shop for quite a while. But he has a Blazer. It's old school. It's got groundhogs on it, real wheels. So he's got the good wheels. But yeah, there's a whole convoy. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. Morgan doesn't do it anymore. He's moved to Richmond. He's about 2.5 hours away. His wife wasn't too into the square body cruising, so he got rid of his. He's got his Rust Bucket 1000 coming though. Like it's a rat rod with 1,000 horsepower turboed LS. It's gonna be a street truck, but it's gonna be freaking insane. So he's not totally out of the game. He just doesn't have a square body. But yeah, we'll all meet up at the shop at the Digger's Dungeon, and we take about an hour cruise down across the bridge onto the beach, and all the way back up north to this section of the beach that's kind of like our secret getaway. You actually drive on the beach, like you're actually cruising along on asphalt, and you hit a cattle crossing, and the road turns a 90-degree angle, and just asphalt stops. You drop off into the sand, and this is no Daytona Beach. Like if you go on, you can't. Your back tires won't get off the asphalt with a car. You're stuck instantly. Like even like the new crossover SUVs and stuff, it ain't happening. Like the only chance you have is if your bumper rips off and you get enough ground clearance that way. But like you need like full size SUV pickup truck minimum to get down this beach. So we roll up with all our big trucks and we're just convoying, man. It is so cool. Cruising slow. And this section of the beach actually has wild horses that originally, Graveyard of the Atlantic is right here. So we have shipwrecks everywhere. Shipwreck from like Spain, I think it was full of horses. Shipwrecked, ran ashore. All the horses got loose, and they just kind of, there's a couple different areas they got to, and this is one of the areas, and they're still there. Obviously multiple generations later, but they're still there, roaming free, hanging out with it. I'm scared to death of horses. Like I like horsepower. Regular horses freak me out, but the wild horses are cool to see from afar. But I don't like it when they get close to me. We cruise down, pull up, everybody lines up side by side. And we all got to dig the tires down in the back, because you got to get to open the tailgate easier when the trucks are lifted up so high. And we jam some beach music and everybody hangs out and has a good time. And it's one of our favorite things to do for sure. It's always a thrash. We're always like wrenching on the trucks to get them ready because we'll end up cutting up on the beach and somebody's throwing a drive shaft or blowing a tire off the rim or whatever. We can't just have a normal trip, but it's what we love to do, man.
Just looked at Colton Kaiser's comment. Yeah, I know a thing or two about a square body that I did for you. So shout out to Colton there. So no, man, it was awesome having you on, Ryan. Thank you for coming on and just chatting with us. Hopefully we can do it again sometime. And just stoked on what you're doing, man. You are, I gotta let the fan side out of me a little bit. It's just awesome to see what you're doing and being an advocate for the sport and being just a fan of it in general, like the old school stuff, talking about the Penda stuff. It's awesome to hear that, man.
I can't help it, dude. I was born to do this, man. I would suck at bagging groceries. So if Monster Trucks quit, I would have to quit with it. Like I don't know what I would do. I probably wouldn't be good at being homeless. I don't know. Man. This is what I was made to do, man. So it's thank you guys for keeping it going, because a lot of people don't remember the old school stuff. It's Monster Jam's kind of gone in a crazy direction, and we don't have the super hardcore big fan base that I feel like we used to have. So thankfully for people like you and the listeners that listen to this podcast, there's no doubt if you're listening to this podcast, you're a real Monster Truck fan. So if the people like you are like that's like the real extra driving force behind us. Like, yeah, we want to go out there and go crazy. We want to have a good time. We want to win. We want to impress all these people. But man, when you impress the real Monster Truck fans, that's like, hell yeah, you did it right then. So you guys, the real dudes that hold it up behind the scenes, and don't forget where Monster Trucks came from. Don't forget who was first. Don't forget all those things, man. And pay homage to all those that are worthy. I try to do it the best I can, as much as I can. But, people like you are keeping it going and the listeners, and it means a lot. It means a lot to me because there's no way we're going to forget where it came from. And as people like us that it's our duty. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm putting it on you. It's your duty. You got to keep it going, keep everybody informed, let them know where it came from, how badass it has been since, when was it that Chandler came out? 70 what? So since day one.
74, I think.
74, man. Yeah. So since 1974, it's been badass. There ain't nobody can tell me different. I'll tell you that. But
Yeah.
also, I got to give you a sneak peek. I didn't even tell Cheech about this. We're doing something big at Digger's Dungeon this year. Really big. Yeah, so some things are going to have some gold rims. Some things are going to have some blue and gray paint jobs. Like, it's going to be awesome. That's all I'm saying. You got to come there to see it.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. People were throwing up a picture of grandma and some toter tires, I guess, and we'll see how it goes in the future. I mean, it's pretty cool to see. When you're talking about that, I knew what, Brad. I have to say one thing.
Yeah.
Every single time we try to end, we just continue on, and
Yeah.
it's always
Oh, okay.
it's cool.
Okay.
It happens in every episode. Like, okay, we're gonna end this. And then you brought up the history because Christopher Allen just messaged me. He wanted me to plug the International Monster Truck Hall of Fame because he's a curator and he's a guide. Him and his dad, Chris. No, Chris. Chris can't be Chris. I'm sorry, Chris. Your dad. Talks about wanted me to plug them in the Hall of Fame. It's cool to see that the new home in Auburn. Yeah. Butler, Indiana. I'm batting 0 on information. It's somewhere in there. But still, like you said, the history and stuff like that. I mean, when you talk about USA 1, I mean, a stock pickup truck, pretty much stock frame, stock pickup truck with a big blown 572 with nitrous, clearing 12. Thank you, Nick, Jim. 12 cars in Milwaukee in 1989, or your dad clearing a set of 12 cars in Buffalo, New York, and scaring the living daylights out of himself, driving Gravedigger 2. There's so much history. You talk about Andy Brass in the Wildfoot in '93 in Lima. Like, even though I'm a crew guy, with the Hall brothers and working, that's history right there too with the Hall brothers, and there's so much history. Like I told Brad, I saw a YouTube channel. I think his name's Stapleton.
Mitchell Stapleton, Stapleton 42.
Yeah. And it got me the idea of he's looking at past history and he's finding like Dale Earnhardt's display car, a trailer that he found somewhere in Missouri, or Darrell Waltrip's old racing hauler. There's so much history going around in the United States. Like Mark and Tim bought the original trailer that they held their heavy metal tank and the Big Boss monster truck in with tires, and had the little trailer that goes onto the gooseneck of the flatbed that they put all their tires and stuff like that. And just the history in general of the hidden gems, like I would love if Ryan, where your dad's old first shop, not the Digger's Dungeon, the AKA the Quonset Hut or the shop beforehand. I stopped by the original shop of when there was a shop before Hazelwood. Actually, there's 2 shops before the Hazelwood one that Bob Chandler put together, Bigfoot, which a lot of people are really surprised that Bob and Jim were Chevy guys. So they had Chevy trucks beforehand, but Bob found the F-350 that was more manageable for what he did, going to Alaska and all that stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, just the crazy portion of the history of monster trucks that I'm on a tangent because that's who I am.
So I got to tell you this. So
yeah,
obviously I just kind of dropped a bomb on you guys and some stuff. I'm not going to break much more detail, but if you ever do come down to Digger's Dungeon, if you ever have been down to Digger's Dungeon, if you're coming from north, more than likely it's going to feed you down an expressway, a toll. And when you hit that toll, and you're in Virginia, which we're really close to Virginia. We're about 30 minutes from the Virginia line. When you hit that Virginia toll right there, it's right before North Carolina line. If you look to the left, there's 2 houses right there. One of them's tan, and it's about 4 times the size that it used to be when we lived there. But that was my dad's first ever house. I only lived there for about 2 weeks. When I was born, right after I was born, we moved. But right behind that was the original shop, and it was up, the original Quonset Hut. The original Quonset Hut was up until I guess it's maybe been about 10 or 15 years ago now. They took it down, but the original shop was there. And that was the one that Grandma was built in. And when Grandma was built, it was so big that even with taking the toter tires off and putting the actual rotors on planks of wood to try to drive it out, it wouldn't fit. So Dad had to pull the entire faceplate off of the Quonset to get the truck out. And obviously it never went back in. But before that Quonset was even there, when my dad bought this house, and this was literally like a, I don't know, maybe an 800 square foot house. It had a chicken coop, and my dad closed in that chicken coop and converted it into his first shop. And that's where he built the original Gravedigger mud truck. So the red primer truck, which in the beginning was not even just straight red primer. It was like gray primer. And I think it had like a yellow bed off of a Kaiser on it, all these crazy things. But when he originally built that thing, it was in there. And that's where the name originally started, was on that mud truck. So if you're going a little bit farther heading towards the dungeon, but another 15 minutes or so, you'll get to a town we call Moyock. It's like the first town in North Carolina. And about, so 15 minutes from the shop, the original shop area there, the toll, about 5 minutes into North Carolina, on the left-hand side, if you're heading towards the Digger's Dungeon, there's a big set of grain bins that's like right on the highway. And those grain bins still have the original painting that says Currituck Grain. And if you remember, that was the first sponsor that helped my dad. Basically, that's where my dad worked at. And that exact grain bin setup was where my dad was at. And there's old brown concrete brick building in the back corner. And that's where the name actually took place. So that's where he talked back to the boss man's son. Wow. And all the employees like, oh, Gravedigger, and wrote Gravedigger on his time card. And we just went in there the other day, and then Dad was like, I almost thought he was going to cry, because it was literally identical. Like everything, like the sewing machine because they were sewing bags of grain. So they're filling up these big burlap sacks of grain, and they're sewing them. They got this hand, like a wired sewing machine. They sew it up, chop it, whatever. Everything was identical, that same scale, like everything. He was freaking out. He's like, nothing has changed whatsoever from the day the name Gravedigger was formed. Right there in that place, it's still identical. So I always try to tell people to stop by Currituck Grain and at least take a picture in front of the grain bins, because it has the original Currituck Grain logo on it. It's really cool. But after seeing that, I'm gonna have to tell those guys, like, hey, you might have some guys creeping on the back shop there, because that's the spot, dude. It's still all there, still all original, man. It's insane.
That is super cool. And if I ever make my way to that side of the States again, I'm definitely checking that out, because that's a bucket list area that I want to go to.
Yeah, man. Even the second shop, which was actually in Kildover Hills, which is still there. The shop's still there. We're not there, but when I was 2 weeks old, we moved down to Kildover Hills, and my dad's family had a beach rental house down there. That's where we moved into. It wasn't even a beach rental house. It was just a beach, like a family beach house. We moved in there, and Dad rented the shop, or leased the shop. And that's where, like, I think the first iteration of Gravedigger 3 was built there. I want to say the ride truck was built there, if I'm not mistaken. The street truck was built there. So, Gravedigger 6. But then that was the original spot. So I can get the location for that too. So if people wanted to really check it out, I think it's still yellow, like it was like a really faded yellow. But that spot's pretty cool. And that's where the Kildover Hills location came from. And Dad always stuck with it because it was just cool sounding. We're now actually based in Currituck, North Carolina, which is about 30 minutes back north from Kildover Hills off the beaches. The beaches by us are kind of cramped. It's a barrier island. It's very narrow and kind of swamped with houses. So not very much room for growth, and definitely not very much room to test monster trucks. So we had to move a little bit farther inland. We got some farmland, and that's where we're at still today. The location we're at now is, we've been there for, I guess, going on, it's like 28 years now. Moved there when I was 4. So yeah, about 28 years we've been there, and we're growing. We're actually getting ready to probably build another shop now.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So we're up to, we got 3 large shops now, like warehouse size. Getting ready to put another one in. We have the Quonset that my dad built as me and Adam's first shop, to pay homage to his first shop, which was where the original Son Uva Digger was getting built at. And I built my mud truck and all that stuff. So pretty cool spot there. And then the old green barn when you're on the property, that's my dad's hideaway because it was the first place that had air conditioning inside of the shop. So obviously Dad claims that one, but that originally was the when Dad bought the property at the brick house that's there still in that barn. When Dad converted the barn into a spray booth, and that's where Fred Beeman would do a lot of paint jobs, do a lot of touch up. We used to paint the frames of Gravediggers back then. And Dad has tons and tons of pictures of all that stuff going down. But it's pretty cool. That old green barn, it was Fred Beeman was in there doing his thing, man, back in the day. And a lot of Gravedigger touch-up paint, a lot of frame painting happened in there. And now it's converted into the King Sling's little AC cove. Basically, that's where my dad goes and hangs out, and that's where the mud trucks normally stay at. It's inside the barn there. But pretty cool spot.
You know, it's pretty crazy to also think about how big of a hotbed now monster trucks around that Tidewater area is. You know, outside of you guys, you also have, you know, Steve and them with the Stone Crusher and Hook trucks, and even the Chesapeake Fire Department, Virginia Beach Fire Department has their own monster truck.
Yeah.
And, you know, can't leave out the Virginia Beach Beast, which was the first ever monster tank. And cool
it's
thing
still
is,
around too.
Yeah, another cool thing is you the Digger's Digger's Diner. You guys have some artwork of what could potentially was going to be, you know, a Gravedigger track vehicle. That your
Gravedigger
dad,
Wild Tracks.
yeah, trying to push and stuff like that. But I mean, that's got to be pretty cool in general. That, you know, how, you know, I always think of hotbeds as your area, and then like the Illinois, Missouri area, and then you got yourself, you know, the South California area, you know, with the, you know, the Skull Bandit trucks, and then, you know, Obsessed and Terminator and stuff like that. But I mean, the it got to be pretty cool to know that, you know, you got outside of the Gravedigger, you also got some awesome history, and also have to mention also Gary Porter, even though he's further down the road too.
And Gary Wiggins too. Him and Gary Wiggins right there by each other.
Yeah.
Yep, no doubt. Yeah, no, I want to talk about the international, the new Monster Truck Hall of Fame there. So the new location I have not been to yet, and I don't know when it's going to happen, but I just want to say that I am planning a trip specifically for me and my son to go there. Like I'm not going for anything else. I just want to go see that. I seen the little track that I can't remember who it was. I seen it on the Facebook there for it, and the trucks actually, I think they go along.
The slot cars.
Me and Race are gonna wear that sucker out. I cannot wait. Race loves old school. He when he sees any truck that's like, you know, obviously older body and like leaf spring, especially if it's got like KC lights, he like instantly Dad, that's old school. That's old school. So I cannot wait to bring him there to see all those trucks, man. It's definitely going to be a big thing for me. I'm already planning it out. I'm trying to get Adam convinced to bring his two boys, which he's down to do it. We just got to get a date where we both can go and drag the kids along with us. But yeah, that thing, if you haven't been to it, I haven't been to the newest location, but even the old location was awesome. So I can imagine how good the new location is going to be. So definitely, I plan on making my visit as soon as I can.
Well, beforehand, also want to let you know that Mark and Tim Hall's heavy metal tanks there too. So if Race hasn't seen a monster tank yet,
no, he hasn't.
That's another area to take a look at too. I mean,
Heck
it's also, I mean, there's tons of stuff. I mean, you know, all the trucks that you got restored, and then you know, they have a huge Excalibur section there. When I did the interview with Mike Nickel, he's like, I'm a janitorial, but still he helped create an Excalibur. So I mean, it's just like crazy, cool, a crazy thing too. And you had an episode. You have your own, I guess, podcast, video podcast. If you want to plug that too, and also I know you talked a little bit about you know, Charlie Pauken and his history with Excalibur to the Gravedigger and stuff like that. So I'll let you have the floor and talk about your program.
Yeah, so I kind of just did it. Like I've been wanting to do it, and I always pressed Adam and Bryce to do their Gears and Nachos, but obviously this year we're not on the same tour together, so I got to get my fix in. You know, I enjoy podcasts, listen to them a lot and myself, and between me just knowing that I needed to do one, and then Tyler was on me about it, Barry was on me about it, like, hey, come on, let's do one. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So I'm calling it Ryan Anderson's Tire Talk. And basically, me, Tyler, Bari, and Camden sit down and just BS about what's happened at the post event. Normally, we're doing it before the event we're getting ready to go into, and we're talking about the weekend beforehand. But I've tried to bring in special guests too, just because we got all these people there. So I've got Jim Kohler to come in. Jim was a hoot; he was wild. And Charlie Pauken came in, and Charlie was awesome to have too. And wasn't even necessarily meant to be like a historian podcast, but it just happened to go that way. Like, man, Charlie was throwing down all kinds of cool stuff. Like, I wasn't aware of his crash with Excalibur 1 that actually retired that truck, I think. He had some pictures that he shared with me. I put it on the podcast, and it was just insane. And he was sharing the details of how the wall had actually crushed in the cab and pinned him down. Like, the steering wheel had been bent down and pinned him down. They actually had to use jaws of life to get him out. It's pretty crazy stuff that I didn't even know of. And I never seen the picture of the Excalibur truck after. And man, that picture, like, we'd listened to the story. He was telling us all about it. I'm like, dang. And then after that, he sent me the picture. I was like, oh my God. Like, it was like, that's a real accident. Like, we crash all the time, but that was like a real crash. Like, that was bad, man. I couldn't believe it. But then after that, he told us he thought he was going to be done. That was going to be the end of his monster truck at Excalibur career, but he actually jumped into Excalibur 2 then. So he got the real jewel of the ones. You know, that was my favorite. I do love Excalibur 1 and the cool paint job and stuff, and just the retroness of it. But man, the dual shackled freaking Excalibur 2 and the way that sucker worked, man, was just, God, it gets me every time, dude. I loved it. It's really cool to watch that thing go.
One of the things that I have to put on my video down on YouTube is I went to Jerry Richmond's shop in Ohio, and he showed me the garage that he built. Him and Marty built Extreme Overkill, the one, the one that was like the Penna cradle truck with the shocks on the 4-link bars instead of on that axle housing, and that was pretty cool. He showed me the Terminator truck and also pretty soon Lethal Weapons coming out of the grave too. So like, I went back, that's my idea that I wanted to do with YouTube, with my YouTube channel, that I want to do is just hidden gems of the monster truck world in general. Like, I want to go to Waynesboro, which I got confirmed. We're gonna have Gary Porter on. Don't know when, but we're gonna have him on.
Nice.
So that just came confirmed. Yeah. That just got confirmed by Mr. Mike Wine. So he says, the text goes, "Hey Bubba, I got Gary." All right. He says he just lets you know when. So I'm like, okay. But it's just that was my idea of it. And I'm just gonna try to push forward. I just don't want to release just one episode and just like have a gap. You know what I mean? I just want to keep on hitting new ones. And the thing is I need to get leads on different stuff in general. I know people said there's an abandoned monster truck somewhere in near Chicago, Indiana, which was I think it was Mr. Twister 2. And it just I was supposed to go to Chris Moranis's place when we were in Long Island and take a look at Thunder Chicken and his Gravedigger truck, or the chassis number 4, and do it that way. I want to see Vodders, and I heard he still has Battle Cat. It intrigues me as the past a lot. I like today's future. I like today and the future of what's going on, but the diversity, the difference, when you into them, like you said, about like hearing the same trucks over and over again. Like back then, you had Taurus, and then your dad's truck Gravedigger 3 was different than Bigfoot 8. There was like every truck that came into the Aladdin Arena was a completely different truck. And it just always boggles my mind about how accelerate people don't realize how fast the sport has grown. And it has from the start of when the first person saw a video of Bob crushing cars to now, where a lot of people said that your freestyle in 2017 has changed, at Syracuse, New York, when you that changed basically another direction of what the sport's going to do. Now we just watch what Weston just did. From that point on has not stopped. It has been going nonstop, just speeding every single time. We always thought that the ceiling, there's no ceiling. It just keeps on going. And but I mean, it just, a lot of times I think a lot of the fans kind of forget what the past was like, and and stuff in general.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's why I love, podcasts like this and you guys keeping the history alive. And Josh Rhodes, I'm guessing he's on here listening.
Yep.
He's kind of my go-to guy. He's a digger freak, and anytime we talk about some old school stuff, I'm like, hey Josh, I need you to look up something for me. And he's normally got the line on it, so he definitely helps me out all the time. And I love seeing that. There's actually a guy that I don't even know who it is. I have no idea. On Instagram that I follow, and I must have followed him a long time ago, and now he's just been posting a ton of old school stuff. I think it's like Mr. Avenger or something like that.
Oh, Dalton Hastings.
Yeah, Dalton Hastings.
Okay, is he? And I don't know if I've just followed him or what the deal is, but I've been seeing a ton of old school stuff out of him. I'm like, yes, man, I'm just loving it, dude. So panning through Instagram, you're seeing all the crazy stuff of the Instagram world, and then you see some old retro Carolyn Crusher versus Gravedigger. I'm like, oh, skirt, stop.
So yeah. I have one more question, and it goes back to pertains to Hoonigan. Are we going to see any Son Uva Digger Hoonigan merch?
That stuff's kind of really hadn't been talked about much yet. So I was kind of I tried my best to just get this deal to happen. And then we're still we got a lot of details to really sift out. So that was kind of on that deal's kind of on the back burner. I definitely want to do it because I know that stuff would be awesome. Hoonigan's style and the way they do the merch it's obvious. I wear it every day, and it's not because they give it to me. It's because I like it. Like
so much so you got Jim Kohler to wear.
Yeah.
Tell the story about that too.
Yeah. So Jim, actually I got a couple old school guys, some shirts. I got Jim one. I got just this weekend I gave Charlie Pauken one, and Howie Dalton, he's not normally in the limelight, but he's been a crew chief for many years. He's like a old school freaking West Virginia guy, but man, he's a hell of a crew guy, and he's been one for a long time. But those three guys, and the reason why I went out of my way is because different times. So Kohler did it first. He's like, man, you always got some cool freaking Hoonigan shirts on. Like, he said something in that sort. He's looking at my shirt and it was always wearing something different, but it's always Hoonigan, like a different style, different theme, but it's always Hoonigan. He's like, man, they make all kinds of stuff. So he's just going on about it. I was like, that the next day I went to Hoonigan's headquarters. It was the first Anaheim, and I'm looking, they're grabbing some shirts and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, get some stuff. Here's the new stuff. And this one was a retro looking chrome print. I'm like, man, that's freaking Kohler right there. Chrome will bring her home for old Jim there. So I had to snag it for him, and he wore it for the show, had really good luck. And the next show did again, had really good luck. Luck didn't work out so well. He wore it again in Houston, but it didn't work out so well for him. So I don't think it's his lucky shirt anymore. But then Charlie, I was wearing another one of the newer Hoonigan shirts. It's like a retro looking, like almost kind of like a biker theme a little bit, but it's like an orange flame look with a skull in the center. It looks really cool. And he's like, man, I actually like. I guess you could say it was kind of Excalibur looking, a little bit. He's like, man, I like that shirt. He just made the comment. So I'm like, all right. And then Howie did the same thing, same day. I'm like, all right. So I went and got both of them some fresh Hoonigan shirts. Got them the same one that I was wearing. So yeah, it's kind of cool. The whole thing becoming legit has also been like, it's like before and after the whole like legit deal coming out. A lot of the people that I look up to were like, man, I want one of those. Like really made it. Like it's a nice cherry on top for the whole thing. I've been chasing Hoonigan, or working with Hoonigan for 11 years now. So obviously I'm into it. I think it's cool. It's all I wear. But yeah, so for my peers, especially my elder peers, the guys that I look up to, like, Howie and Chucky and Jim, those guys to like it was like, heck yeah, that's cool. It's really cool.
If you need an idea for a shirt, I have an idea, and like you know who like Rat Fink, like Ed Roth is, obviously.
Yep.
So doing something like that with you sitting on the truck, you know, with zoomies, like I just think
Like
a
that
shirt like
tattoo
that,
guy from Las Vegas.
yeah.
Yep.
So like a Rat Fink style shirt, but with you and Son Uva Digger, that would be sick.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's actually like one of my favorite shirts that they have is like a Rat Fink style blower motor. I love it, and it's super old. It's like mini, like probably 4 or 5 year old shirt. I still have it, and like it's faded from getting washed so much, but like I still like I'll bust that sucker out for special occasions. So that's kind of when I've always sent them pictures like I like this one, I like this one. So I'm working on something. Hopefully, you know, it's dealing with Monster Jam is far from easy. You know, so if I can get I feel like I've gotten this big boulder rolling a little bit. I don't want to get too greedy and try to get it to speed up, you know, yet. But if I can keep it rolling, I might be able to get it there. So, like I said, nothing as of right now, but it's definitely not out of the question as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna work on it. But like I said, it was really hard to get my foot in the door to get them to get Monster Jam to even agree to let me do the Burnyard video. And then when the Burnyard video did good, a lot of them had to kind of eat their own words because they were like, oh, this is going to suck. This is going to suck. Well, it didn't suck. It was pretty awesome. So a lot of them had to eat their own words on that, which I loved it. I freaking loved it. And then, you know, now the Hoonigan deal is official with their official partner of mine, which is more or less just basically we're going to be trading. Like we're going to bring Hoonigan to our events to get them to film stuff with us, and then I'm going to bring my truck to their stuff to film stuff with them. So we're just going to kind of cross promote and just, you know, try to get wild with the truck. Well, once this gets rolling out a little bit smoother and better, and you know, things start happening, then we'll start laying the coals to it and try to make more things happen that need to be. I know everybody will love and everybody wants to see.
Yeah, one step at a time, you know.
That's
one step
right.
at a time.
Yep.
You know, any social media people can follow you at?
Yeah, Instagram's my main one, at Son Uva Digger. That's the one I normally check the most. I check my messages on there the most. Facebook one kind of gets ate up with like robots and stuff like that, so it's kind of hard to keep up with that one. But I still am on my Facebook for sure. My Facebook's at Son Uva Digger also, or if you just search Ryan Anderson, which is the same for Instagram. I have a Twitter. I don't mess with it very much. I have a TikTok, but I don't really mess with it very much either. I mess with it more than Twitter, but main one, like I said, is Instagram. YouTube channels is the Andersons, and it's got a little bit of everything on there. It's got stuff from Weston at age like 3 to now doing stunts, and us celebrating his 18th birthday in a big way during quarantine, crashing cars. My Tire Talk video podcast is on there, and Adam doing mock interviews, joking with people at mud bogs. Steve Anderson. I mean, it's got all the stuff you want.
Me ESPN.
Me ESPN.
Yeah.
I love those videos, man.
Then we literally bought the microphone from a freaking I think it was like some Bratz style speaker karaoke system. We cut the cord, so he had a wireless mic. Oh my god,
His interview with John Gordon was pretty funny.
that was the first time we ever met John Gordon. We had never even talked to him before that. We literally walked up to him like, hey, can we do an interview with you? And all these people at this whole mud bog were like super pumped. Like we never met any of us. All like, oh my god, the Andersons are here. And me and Adam come in and just complete screw offs. You know, I'm in a freaking neck brace from the 30th anniversary still. I'm, you know, neck braced up, holding a camera on a stick. And Adam goes up and we go up to him like, dead serious. Hey, do you mind if we get an interview? We're trying to, you know, just interview everybody that's going to race with Dad today and things like that. And then as soon as the camera goes on, Adam turns into Steve Anderson. Just everybody was so thrown off. And John was like nervous. You could tell he was the most nervous out of everybody. And then once we started filming, he's like, oh. And he had a broken back at the time. So it was actually his dad was driving his mud truck. So pretty hilarious start to really good friendship with John Gordon and us. But yeah, that was literally the first time we exchanged words with John Gordon, as he had a insane bowl cut too. My guy had the bowl cut was insane, and he had his broken back. We made him show the brace. So and his truck was called Bone Collector at the time. So that's Adam was saying it. The Bone Collector, it breaks your back.
I remember him talking to some guy about shocks.
My god, he was all over the place. He talked. This one dude was this massive guy. He was like probably like 6'7", big old boy, big old belly on him, and his shirt said "I beat anorexia." So of course we caught him like 3 different times, like secret spy camera, eating corn dogs and hot dogs and stuff. And then Adam interviews him. Oh my God, it was hilarious.
Oh, the Steve Anderson was made, actually, I have a confession. I had a 97 Jeep Grand Cherokee that I converted to see if you guys were going to do one of those rally races again. And I was like, if they let me have a day off, I was going to race that Jeep.
Heck yeah, dude.
I had an all-wheel drive. It wasn't 4-wheel drive. It was all-wheel drive, and had the iron block. Had the freaking 4.0, not 4. Like inline 6.
Yep.
Motor, and I was like, oh, I'm ready. And then
you would have wore us out, man. That thing was the race was so much fun. That's on my YouTube channel too. We got like a build-up video and then after, and we had quite a few vehicles that were still running. So like my Crown Vic, the Hoonigan was still running. I can't remember the other ones. Woose's Jeep, even after he rolled it over, it was still running. But the cage, the cab was so far crushed in, we couldn't get in it really, But when Dad started doing the King Sling Extreme Ride Truck, he used my freaking car. Like it was still good. It had a brand new battery still in it and everything, full tank of gas. And I come to the shop one day and I see him over in the field. He's got the excavator bucket going. He's crashing my freaking car out. I'm like, Dad, the thing still runs, dude.
See, if you need a new car for that, I suggest a Pontiac Grand Am. Those things are indestructible.
They're like paper though. I mean, they would crash like an F1 car. I've seen those Grand Ams.
It could be good for video.
Yeah, that's true. But how do you find your cars? I remember, what was it? You found a floater. I call them floaters, like the cars with nice suspension, like a Crown Vic. But you also found one that was a
probably my station wagon.
Wagon. Where do you find these things at? Or
man, Facebook Marketplace, man. I'm all up in the Facebook Marketplace. So the wagon though, man, that sucker, that thing, that's a real whip right there. Let me tell you, 3 rows of seats in the back. The third row flips up, faces backwards. So you're looking out the back glass, and the thing is, so there's a certain one that you got to look for. So it's the Buick Roadmaster, which we nicknamed the Road Molester for obvious reasons, because it's got an LT1 Corvette motor in it from the factory. But if you get the tow package, it has a hitch and a locker in the rear end. So that, and then we swap the gears out to a 456 gear ratio, which is stupid for a car. Like, so the thing, it literally tops out at 8 miles an hour, but man, that sucker gets there quick. It is so awesome. So that's our lunch whip, man. Well, I say that it's had 2 blown back tires for about a year now, but when the tires are on it, I pack all the boys in the back and we can take a hell ride to lunch every time. I make them puke. If you're in the third row in the back, I guarantee you're puking.
Oh my. And also
challenge accepted.
you have to get down there first, Brad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
true.
your 3-wheeler too. I mean, you still have that?
Oh yeah, dude. The Widowmaker. That is literally the sketchiest thing on the property. All these things that we have, 1,000+ horsepower all over the place. The little 3-wheeler will kill everyone. It is like the little nuclear bomb. It's ridiculous. It's a CR80 motor, which is a little tiny guy, but it's in a ATC 70 frame. So it's a 3-wheeler frame, no suspension, just terrible. I mean, it's an absolute terrible freaking combo. It is so fast. All it wants to do is flip over backwards. You're a grown up is the size of the 3-wheeler. Like, it's ridiculous. So yeah, it has claimed the back calves of many folks, and then also the tailbone of more. Because basically, when you shift to second, you ride around first gear, it kind of gets your trust a little bit. It's not that great, but you shift to second gear, wheelie every time. It's not even a wheelie, like off the back, slam you on the ground, knock your breath out wheelie.
Wow.
So it'd be like the CR500 of 3-wheelers, basically.
Yeah, but it's literally it's a 73-wheeler, so it's like I can pick this thing up very easy. Like I pick it up and put it in the bed of the truck. Yeah,
crazy.
It's a terrible combo.
Yeah, but it must be a thrill, though.
Oh, it is. Once I put some different tires on the back that weren't nearly not as much traction, and that's fun. But it's still, I mean, that thing's just so reckless. The most
Yeah.
reckless was Matt Byton was here,
God.
which he drove Metal Militia, and he's an X-Games gold medalist on motorcycles for freestyle motocross, high jump, all that stuff. Well, obviously, I got to bust that sucker out for him. I get him on it, and he's so broken up with his bones and stuff. And that little thing, you got like your knees are in your chest. You're like this, so he could barely really ride it because his legs and stuff are so messed up. So I had to give her a spin. And he videos, and that's the video that's like gone viral multiple times of me ripping around. Of course, I'm in flip flops and no helmet, doing a burnout up against the door of my shed, my pool house and stuff. So yeah, it's that thing is definitely, like I said, that is the most dangerous thing, hands down, that the Anderson zone.
Oh man, and another thing is a good buddy of ours, Snacks. You know, I saw a video on Instagram, or was it on that you got him using that Oculus headset,
Oh yeah.
and he's doing something, but you're also like pushing him around, and
Yep.
like I also saw like other people using it, and it's like,
Yeah. So,
what got you in the idea of that? It just seems funny. That's
the Oculus headset thing is awesome. So actually, the deal was Race for Christmas last year asked for a VR racing game, and like he normally doesn't really ask for anything basically for Christmas. Like he'll say, like every time you ask him, he says some random thing like, "I want a blue RC car," or whatever random stuff. Well, this time it was like, I wanted a VR racing game over and over and over for like months. I'm like, okay, well, I started looking into the VR stuff, and I found the Oculus Rift or Quest 2, or I don't know, I can't remember which one it is. The one that's available at Walmart's and Best Buys and Targets and everything right now. So I got that thing, and I got it like a month in advance, just buying stuff, getting ready for Christmas. Well, like I was like, let me take it out and get it set up for him, so when he gets it, he can open it up and play right away. Well, then I got addicted to it, and we're playing it. Like there's like, I'm not even gonna lie, I'm kind of calling myself out here. The fishing game on there, oh dude, I was hung in that thing bad. Like I nerded out so bad on that. But then there's a couple other games where like a boxing game, and like the boxing game will wear you out. Like it's a workout. But the most fun that I messed up most people with is walk the plank.
Yeah.
So you put this thing on, and you're in like the city, and you turn around, you walk behind you, and there's a little elevator. You get on the elevator, you press the button. The top floor is walk the plank deal, and it opens up, and it's literally like the edge of the elevator and a wooden plank that you walk out on. And man, it messes you up. Like I've come to the conclusion that all girls don't even care. Like they don't even care about the life, because they just walk right off of it. Like every guy is like, every girl just walks right off. Like you guys don't even care about life. But John Gordon was the best one. He's the one that you probably seen the video of. He crashed bad. So he's on it, and I made Adam do it and Brandon do it. Brandon Vincent and my brother Adam, and I've already pushed both of them. So I let them get out on the thing, and I just give you like a little, just just enough to throw you off. And those two, like they wobble all around, and like Adam went to the ground, but because if you go off the edge of the plank, you actually fall. And when you actually fall, like when the game falls, man, it messes you up. Like you feel like you're really falling. So Jagor does it. And Jagor, he's like prone to crash, like prone. If it can go wrong, it's going to go wrong for Jagor. He's just one of those guys. So John Gordon. So he gets on it. He walks out, and then it takes a minute for us to get him convinced to go out there. And I just give him a good little bump. And in the video, it looks like his parents were probably not thrilled with me, because it looks like I just shoved the heck out of him, but I just pushed him off kilter. Well, he was like already kind of bent kneed, and then when he went off kilter, he knew he was going to fall off the board. His like natural reaction was to jump off the board. So he jumps, like dives over, lands ribs first on a coffee table that then combos to Adam's shins and blows both his shins out. It was hilarious, man. Yeah, so the Oculus, 100% worth the money, just to mess with your friends with.
Oh my gosh.
A good game recommendation for that, which I've played before, Arizona Sunshine. Zombie VR shooter, fun.
No, I haven't tried that yet. I need to. I got so hung up on the fishing game, I had to put it away for a minute, man. I was tore up on it. My girlfriend she'd be off in another room. I'd bust it out, and she'd hear the drag running from a reeling a fish, and she's like, "You're fishing again." I'd take it off.
In some of the videos, I know you guys found a yacht that you guys did and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And um, uh, I know there was a video back in, I don't know, a few months or a year ago or so. Your dad Dennis got a nice, like a muscle car or a car that was at the shop. Um, am I maybe wrong about that? Or I thought there was like a muscle car or something like that that was at the shop.
So in for Teeny's birthday deal, when we did the bash out there in the field, Dad had a 65 Ford Falcon, which was
Oh, okay, yeah.
it was his like that was like one of his original hot rod cars when he was in high school. He had a Ford Falcon, and that was like he always talks about how cool he was basically back then. When he was ripping that thing around in high school. So Adam found one on a good deal. It wasn't in good shape. The body wasn't in good shape necessarily, but it was a runner and it had a decent little motor in it. So it's pretty strong, and he got it for Dad just to play around with. Well, not meaning like play around with on the streets and cruise, not meaning bash it in the field. Well, of course, what's Dad do? Bashes it in the field. So he was our pace car for our race there, because I think we had like 13 cars or something like that enter in this race, and we were just doing it was a lap race that had a double in it that you had to jump, and the double was not very car friendly. So but he was our pace car for the beginning, and then he was spinning around, throwing dirt on everybody, and we had a bunch of people there that were just hanging out to watch, and of course he roosted all of them with mud at the beginning of the day that we're going to be there all day long. Now they're soaking wet.
Right. And you guys had a campfire at the end of it too, right?
Yeah. And then he had that's where Adam had the camper. It was, I guess it wasn't even Adam, it was probably Steve Anderson at the time. He had ripped the whole roof off this camper. So it was like the couch was still there, the dining table was still there, the sink and the fridge was still there, the bed was still there, but there was no walls, no roof, just like a flat camper. And we didn't have no idea. He's over there screwing off in the woods with the excavator, ripping this roof off, and he just drives out. Just comes out, and he's wearing like a tracksuit. He's got like these fleece pants with stars and stripes down the sides, and a vest on with no shirt underneath, and he's got a wig on. And he comes out and he starts running into everybody's cars. Like, he's like that. He's imitating like an old person with a camper that doesn't know how to drive. He's like looking the wrong way, like he's looking backwards and takes off forward and runs into Brandon's car. Then he puts it in reverse, looks forward and runs back into somebody else's car. It was hilarious.
Man, some of you guys have a chance to see these videos. Go ahead and see it on the Anderson.
Yeah, I barely got any of the highlights too. Like I missed most of the really good stuff that happened.
Man.
We had so much fun that day. But yeah, we need to do it again for sure. I need to plan it out a little bit better. That was like a fling basically. We decided like the Monday before, like, hey, let's all get some bomber cars and race. And that weekend we made it happen. So we need to plan out a little bit farther ahead now that my vehicle is toast because of the freaking Kingsling ride truck. But yeah, we'll get some stuff lined up. You need to get yourself lined up, come down with your Jeep.
Yeah. You need to find yourself not a Crown Vic, but what was the Mercury one? The
Marauder.
The Marauder. Then that car, I think that car had like the police engine and the suspension and stuff like that.
Yeah, Interceptor edition or whatever.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Mine was like the ghetto edition. It had been stolen, no doubt, because the shifter was ripped out of it, and the keyhole was ripped out of it, and the trunk key was ripped out. Like it was. I think there was no title with it for a reason.
It was pretty cool because one guy, I don't know who was it that had the all-wheel drive Astro van.
Oh, we call him Other Brother.
Okay.
Yeah, he's his name's Daniel Boone. He works for Dad. He's basically he just does a bunch of stuff around the property. So my dad has this thing. He likes to have farm animals. So we've got like chickens and goats and pigs, and Daniel basically takes care of that. And weed eats, and if we're working on King Sling stuff, he gives us a hand with that. He's just kind of like a jack of all trades around the property. Well, my dad loves him so much because like basically no matter what my dad asks, it's never too much for Daniel. So Dad loved him so much. We're like, yeah, it's our other brother now because he just does whatever Dad asks. So his nickname is Other Brother, but he was going head to head with Cliff, which Cliff is like my dad's other right hand man. But Cliff's been around long enough that he doesn't have to mess with the animals or the weed eating. So he's like, the top tier right hand man, where Other Brother was, junior level.
Gotcha, man. Oh, well, it's been almost been an hour.
What?
Yeah, it's almost been like when we it's supposed to end it as like Aaron. It's almost pushing 2.5 hours.
Oh, that's what I was gonna
And
say. Like my clock's saying 2:19 right
yeah,
now.
2:19. We were trying to end it in an hour and a half, and we fast forward to an extra hour, which is all good. Some people got back on coming from the Scott Douglas program, but it's all good. We're just having fun, and
Oh, yeah.
and it's great having you. And
Yeah, man.
and well, thank you again for being on. Hopefully we get you back again. I know we did an audio episode maybe a few years back, but having this really, I think, helped us out in the format and maybe pushing other drivers and crew members from the Monster Jam side over. I emailed the PR lady. I emailed a bunch of people in general just to get us into the prove we're not, no offense, other podcasts, I guess.
Yeah.
Some of them kind of have a bad taste, and just prove that we're a completely different program, and we
Yep.
don't. A lot of people worried about you would use that to benefit ourselves and the financial benefits. I mean, every goal is to have a podcast like at Westwood One or something like that, and podcast one. It's natural of the beast, but we're doing this just for fun. We could all be doing something else, but having you on, it's always a good time. Hanging out with you in person, Ryan's always a good time in general when I have a chance. So, it's once again, thank you so much for coming on and taking your time.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me, man. For sure. And don't hesitate. I'll do it again for sure.
And I'll just say thank you, man, and hopefully I get to meet you in person at some point.
You need to move.
I need to move. I need to get out of Canada.
You keep on talking about it. You need to move, or we'll. How about if anyone wants to donate money, to hire smugglers and we could smuggle Brad down to Canada.
If you smuggle me somewhere warm. I'm tired of the cold.
Well,
and snow,
while
okay?
they're smuggling you, they can hand you some Tim Hortons.
No. My girlfriend in the comments.
She will be smuggled with you too.
Okay,
and then you guys can have some Timmies, and then before you guys wake up, you're in America.
Yep.
So and we'll just let you guys free like animals or something like that. And you can look back and like question if you should go forward or stay there or something like that,
Oh yeah, she says okay, she could deal with that. Okay.
Oh, that's
and my mom deal. And my own family's like,
there we go, guys. Let's get some money here. Let's form some type of deal so we can get them over here in Canada. You guys should have just took a ride on that the semi trail thing with Jigger and
Freedom Convoy.
You just need to ship a monster truck tire with yourself in it here.
Yeah.
You guys probably have some use for me around there.
Yeah, we'll make you do something. My dad definitely will.
I'll be a professional. I'll be a professional idiot.
Yeah, you probably have to start out by feeding the chickens. Not gonna lie, that's normally where it goes.
Right.
I'll do anything, man.
Man, there was one video I have to say that your dad was pushing some BKTs, and he's like, "I'm helping Moose out."
Yeah, he was giving Moose hell because they were dirty. And he's like, "Man, they were dirty and they're in the way," so he pushed them in the pond. And our pond's not easy to get into. Like it's kind of like deep down in with trees all around it. Yeah, so it took a while for them to float back to the right spot where Moose could get them out.
Oh my goodness, that was great. Hey, Mike Vodder Sr.'s on. Hey, how's it going? But once again, man, what awesome time. Like I said, Brad, we need to get you down to the States.
I know. I need to go to a stadium. I need to go to a stadium show. I've never been to a stadium show ever in my life. Oh my
God, dude. You will
the
be
Calgary
wrecked.
show's close to it, though.
The Calgary show's close to it, but I've just like going to a big football stadium.
Man, Syracuse is coming up, dude. I'll be there.
I'm on the other side of Canada. I'm in Alberta.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'd be like Vancouver.
Yeah.
Vancouver or
Seattle.
Or if they did some of the football stadiums here, like if they come to Edmonton to do the CFL stadium, I'd be there in a heartbeat. I don't live that far away. So
yeah. While we're at it, can you pick up Mikey on your way?
Yeah,
down there,
I'll bring Mikey.
Okay.
Him and me a road trip.
Yeah, there we go. So, man, it's cool to have you on again, Ryan. Like I said, and And Brad also said thank you too. And man, thank you to all the people that help us out.
Yeah.
High Octane Coffee, J Concepts, JB Skill Graphics, 6B Apparel, Nick Davis and Back Channel Productions. We got a lot of people that helps out because they all help us out with our giveaways and stuff like that. So, man, it's cool. One more thing, if he makes one more comment, he's gonna be banned. So, outside of that, I like to say thank you for everyone that helps out, and also Justin Stories, and then Colby Marshall and MTRC, and then all that too. So, man, the last thing you want to say there, Brad?
Yeah, well, guys, just make sure you check up on your friends and family. Mental health is very important, especially the time we're going through now, guys. If you know of anybody that's going through a rough time, please check in on them. That is 100%. So, guys, next week, Cheech, I believe it's the recording you have with Matt Isbell, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I think I have some more recordings I'm gonna try to get after that, like Elvis and a couple people in the tour too.
Yeah.
So maybe Kristen, and it would be kind of a live, not live, but recording of there at the arena and stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and try to hit some of those and figure out when Gary Porter wants to get on, because he gave me the okay and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool. And
well, as soon as Cheech finds all that out, we will update you guys. But guys, until next week, which will be a pre-recorded episode with Matt Isbell, guys, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up, everybody. Peace.
how do